Welcome to Infinite Novel Audio. If you love epic fantasy, thrilling adventures, and immersive audiobook stories, you're in the right place. Before we begin, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Also, be sure to check out my other channel, AI Otaku Studio, for even more amazing AI powered and anime inspired content.
Chapter 1 God Level Cheat Bound. In a dark alley within Spirit City on the Douluo Continent, a thin, gaunt youth was being wantonly trampled by a group of men in black holding sharp blades. Transmigration candidate near death detected. God level cheat has begun loading for you. 321 loading successful. Transmigration candidate in near death state detected. System protection activated. Host's injuries are recovering. Random spatial teleportation in progress. As the system's mechanical voice faded, the thin youth's figure instantly vanished from the spot. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Brain storage. Store your brains here. This is a harem power fantasy, so those who read with their brains should leave them here. Once your brains are stored, you may proceed with viewing. On the other side, in the southwest of the Douluo Continent, the blue-silver forest. It was unknown how much time had passed before the youth slowly opened his eyes. After his vision focused, he discovered that this was a dense forest filled with blue-gold stripes. Am I transmigrated again? The youth was a bit confused. His name was Fu Yi. As a transmigration candidate from Blue Star, he had actually transmigrated over a decade ago into this Xuanhuan world of the Douluo Continent. What he hadn't expected was that he had transmigrated too early, arriving in the era of Bibaidong. His talent was decent, innate rank 6, and his spirit was a piece of sword bamboo. Because he was humble, low-key, and particularly good at handling social situations, he had a good reputation within Spirit Hall. He would often go drink tea and walk birds with some of the officials in Spirit Hall, living a rather comfortable life. But until that person appeared, his perfect life was completely ruined. He was none other than the young clan chief of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, Yuzairogang. The other party had submitted reports several times without success, and actually went as far as stealing the knowledge he had brought from Blue Star, then slandered him for stealing his work. Although Fuyi was very angry about this, he did not lash out directly. After all, those were merely the most elementary knowledge from Blue Star. Fortunately, the public's eyes were sharp, and the people of Spirit Hall knew what kind of character Yuzairogang was, so they had never neglected him in terms of rewards and honors. But what he hadn't expected was that Yuzairogang actually relied on the influence of his Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan to bribe some of the grassroots officials of Spirit Hall, imprisoning him in a dark, sunless basement and threatening him to write down everything he knew. After that, the other party even forged documents stating he had voluntarily left Spirit Hall and once again bribed and threatened the relevant personnel. Fuyi naturally knew why the other party would treat him this way. It was because Yuzairogang was jealous. His strength as a commoner far exceeded that of this young master of a sect, and in terms of knowledge and talent, he was far from being a match for him. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Of course, Fuyi would certainly not tell Yuzairogang the knowledge and principles from his past life. He only wrote out the set of invincible theories that Yuzairogang would have in the future. Anyway, half of them were wrong. At this moment, the surging power belonging to a rank 47 spirit ancestor flowed through Fuyi's body. He finally felt that he had come back to life. That's right, including the half-year he was imprisoned by the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. He was already 18 years old this year, a true, indisputable rank 47 spirit ancestor. Many elders had once said that if nothing went wrong, he would definitely become a spirit Douluo in the future, and he had deeply believed in this. However, before he could figure out what was happening, a virtual electronic template appeared before him. God level cheat host Fuyi. Age 18, rank 47, click to increase or decrease. Appearance handsome scholar, click to increase or decrease. First spirit sword bamboo, click to increase spirit quality. Yellow yellow purple purple, click to set spirit ring age. Second spirit pending selection, click to select spirit mental force. 1500 elementary spirit sea realm, click to increase or decrease. Physique 45 max 100, click to increase or decrease. Goddess favorability list Bibaidong 75% newly in love, click to lock favorability from decreasing, system mal warehouse, enter a name to take whatever exists in the Douluo world 1234 at will, system hidden features, click to expand, comprehensive evaluation, what evaluation does a cheat need, just enjoy it. God level cheat, click to upgrade, and goods are free to take. Fuyi was stunned on the spot. It took a long time for him to slowly come back to his senses, and then he tapped on his rank with a slightly unnatural finger. Ding, congratulations to the host for leveling up by 1, current rank is 48. Upon hearing the system's announcement, he also felt a surge of power suddenly appear within his body. Feeling this, a clear tear slid from the corner of Fuyi's eye. 3 minutes east of the river, 3 minutes west of the river, Yu Xiaorogang, oh Yu Xiaorogang, you tortured me for so long and even wanted my life. In the future, if I cannot make you wish you were dead, I will change my surname to yours. At this moment, Fuyi was like a heartless killer, frantically tapping on the system screen in front of him. Ding, congratulations to the host for leveling up by 1, current rank is 49. Ding, congratulations to the host for leveling up by 1, current rank is 50. Ding, congratulations to the host for leveling up by 1, current rank is 98. Ding, congratulations to the host for leveling up by 1, current rank is 99. System prompt, after level 100, the host will transcend the boundaries of the continent, and the system will forcibly have the host ascend to the God realm. Do you wish to continue increasing? Forcibly ascend to the God realm, then let's not do that. Can you increase my strength to the strongest below the divine rank? Ding, congratulations to the host for increasing strength to the rank 99 quasi-god realm. Rank 99 is divided into quasi-demigod, demigod, and quasi-god. Feeling this terrifying strength in his body, Fuyi felt that he could move mountains and fill seas with a casual wave of his hand. It was just that his spirit power was sufficient, but his spirit rings hadn't been filled yet. He turned his gaze to his spirit ring age, and a smile appeared on the corner of his lips. Congratulations to the host for successfully increasing all spirit ring ages to 100,000 years. Congratulations to the host for successfully increasing all spirit ring ages to 200,000 years. Congratulations to the host for successfully increasing all spirit ring ages to 990,000 years. Note, the aura of a 1,000,000 year spirit ring will attract the attention of gods. The system has automatically helped the host reduce the risk. If needed, please continue to cheat to increase it to 1 million years. This system is quite user-friendly, he likes it. Opening the system mal and looking at the dazzling array of zero-cost goods, Fuyi felt as if he were a lucky person who had won a billion-dollar jackpot. He always felt this one was interesting, and that one seemed quite good too. But now his goal was clear, it was that God-bestowed spirit ring. Item, Premium God-bestowed spirit ring, stock, 99,999, cost, 0. Note, you can take up to 10 at a time. Fuyi didn't take too many, he would just take them as he needed them, which was more convenient. However, after taking them out, the system's voice sounded again. Do you wish to automatically complete spirit ring absorption? This is also possible. Fuyi was full of surprise. This cheat was really a bit too high-end. It was truly worthy of the title God level. Chapter 2 Limit Douluo Dragon God Martial Soul, Divine Sense Sword Box Spirit. System, congratulations to the host for absorbing a 990,000 year spirit ring. System, congratulations to the host for absorbing a 990,000 year spirit ring. System, congratulations to the host for absorbing a 990,000 year spirit ring. System, congratulations to the host for absorbing a 990,000 year spirit ring. System, congratulations to the host for absorbing a 990,000 year spirit ring. Following the 5 electronic tones from the system, Fuyi felt his body instantly become filled with energy, and even his spirit power was much more profound than just a moment ago. Next, Fuyi took the opportunity to max out all his stats in one go. After all, only those who have experienced the bitterness of life can truly crave the life of the wealthy. His self-confidence was now overflowing. He could only say that this divine rank cheat of his was truly awesome. However, what Fu Yi hadn't expected was that this divine rank cheat could not freely adjust character affinity, it could only lock it or lower it. That 75% affinity from Bibaidong was something Fu Yi had never expected. After all, he and Bibaidong had a relationship as senior and junior students, and the two could occasionally meet in the library. In Fu Yi's impression, at most they would discuss matters concerning spirits and national governance. He had to know that in his past life he was born in China, so he had obtained some true teachings about national governance from the news. As for spirits in his past life, he was a scholar of the Douluo series, knowing nearly all the latest reports about the Douluo Continent. Every time they spoke of these things, Fu Yi would tirelessly explain them like a teacher to Bibaidong, while Bibaidong would sit quietly beside him, listening and occasionally offering her own insights. In his heart, Bibaidong was a very tragic girl. A flower that should have bloomed at its most radiant age had, for various reasons, become a cold-blooded executioner. He had once thought about helping her, but unfortunately, lacking power, influence, talent, and strength, he could even feel the gazes cast from the shadows while he was with Bibaidong. Regarding this, he could only keep his distance from Bibaidong. After all, helping her within his ability was completely fine, but beyond his ability, he had no way to intervene, and might even get himself dragged into it. However, in the 11 years he had stayed in the Spirit Hall, Kaiyan Zunji had not been as dark and cruel as described in the original work. Meanwhile, Spirit City, Spirit Hall, Supreme Pontiff Palace. A man over 8 feet tall, handsome and with an extraordinary aura, was looking with gentle eyes at the girl kneeling in the grand hall. "Donga, is there something you need from me?" His voice was refined, gentle, and full of magnetism. The young girl kneeling in the grand hall immediately raised her stunningly beautiful face. "Teacher, this disciple wants to know where Junior Fu Yi has gone over the past 6 months. Her voice was crisp, and her tone carried stubbornness and a hint of pleading. "Fu Yi, Donga, it has been over half a year. Could it be that you have truly fallen in love with that child with only innate rank 6 spirit power?" There was no resentment in the man's eyes as he looked at the girl. There was only a touch of pity. "Teacher, The young girl wanted to say something, but the words were stuck in her throat, and she couldn't say them no matter what. The man did not speak, only gently stood up. Step, step, step. Heavy footsteps approached from afar. "Fu Yi is indeed a genius, and I like his talent and character very much." His voice was filled with regret, and then he gently patted the girl's shoulder. "But it is a pity, he died a quarter of an hour ago." The man's words pierced the girl's heart like a sharp dagger. "Dead, Junior Fu Yi, he is dead." "No, that's impossible. How could he die? Teacher, you are lying to me, aren't you?" The girl seemed to have heard something unacceptable, and her emotions were somewhat agitated. "That's right, he is dead. His cultivation was completely destroyed, and he died without a whole corpse." The middle-aged man's words were cold and calm, but they also carried a trace of pity. "Junior Fu Yi, really, his cultivation destroyed, died without a whole corpse." She muttered the words he had spoken. "Thump." Her eyes were unfocused, and her body collapsed weakly at the man's feet. But soon, a trace of questioning and anger appeared in her eyes. She straightened her body to ask, but the man seemed to know what she wanted to ask. "Fu Yi's death was not caused by me. Someone else harmed him." After saying this, he looked back at the girl who was slumped at his feet, slowly squatted down, and his warm, large hand gently stroked the girl's cheek, which had turned somewhat pale due to grief. "As your teacher, I apologize for standing by and watching regarding Fu Yi's matter. He was indeed a good seedling, but you two were destined not to be on the same path. For your sake, I could only pretend I didn't see anything. Please forgive your teacher's selfishness." After speaking, the man stood up directly and threw his cloak behind him. At this moment, the aura on him was no longer as gentle and kind as before, but rather more severe. "Donga, there are many internal matters of the Spirit Hall involved in Fu Yi's disappearance. As the holy maiden of our Spirit Hall, to train your abilities, I will leave this matter entirely for you to handle. Later, I will have someone send you the detailed information." As the man's voice faded, his figure slowly disappeared from the grand hall. The girl, slumped on the ground, had eyes full of loneliness and resentment. Her pupils were bloodshot at this moment. She couldn't believe that Fu Yi, who had always called Hersenya's sister, behind her back, could just die so inexplicably. Recalling the past, she only felt as if her heart was being carved away piece by piece by someone with a knife. Senior sister, only by working hard to cultivate can you change your destiny. Senior sister, you look quite pretty when you smile. Senior sister, this meal is on me today. Senior sister, don't keep such a straight face all day long. A happy mood is the best medicine for longevity. She and Fu Yi had only a very simple relationship as fellow students, but it was only after he disappeared from her world half a year ago that she realized, with hindsight, that her heart would feel empty without him. During this period, she had tried to look for those friends of Fu Yi, but they all said Fu Yi had left the spirit hall. She didn't believe this information, but she had nowhere to start looking. Thinking of this, her eyes became exceptionally cold. Fu Yi, I will make those who knew the truth but didn't report it, and those who hurt you, all go to hell to keep you company. The girl's tone was very light, but it was filled with a thick sense of oppression. Behind her, 2 yellow, 2 purple and 2 black, 6 spirit rings danced, and the next moment, her figure instantly disappeared from the grand hall. After a long time, a sigh full of helplessness came from a dark corner in the grand hall. Sigh. The man who had just left actually walked out slowly from behind a golden stone pillar at this moment, his eyes filled with unbearable sadness. Donga, you are my Kyan Zunji's disciple. You are the disciple under the seat of me, the supreme pontiff of the spirit hall, and even more so, the face of the spirit hall to the outside world. I hope you can understand your teacher's painstaking efforts for you. That's right, the two were Kyan Zunji and Bibai Dong, but because of the protagonist's intervention, Bibai Dong had not been attracted to that trash Yu Zairogang. Although Kyan Zunji knew that Bibai Dong liked Fu Yi, he discovered that Fu Yi had always treated Bibai Dong as a friend. Even their contact was very reserved, which was the reason why Kyan Zunji had never made a move against Fu Yi. Before Fu Yi disappeared, he had thought about transferring him to the Heaven Du Empire to be the manager, and in the future, as his strength improved, he could let him be promoted to a bishop. After all, as long as Fu Yi left, Bibai Dong could only focus on cultivation. But what he never expected was that Yu Zairogang, that trash from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, had made the first move. In fact, he had known about this matter from the beginning, but in order for Bibai Dong to focus on the development of the Spirit Hall in the future, he had steeled his heart and ignored Fu Yi's situation. One must know that even if Fu Yi was talented in his heart, he could never compare to his disciple Bibai Dong, the future Supreme Pontiff. Soon, a trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. He was very clear about the fact that Yu Zairogang, that trash, had plagiarized the Spirit Hall's data and published it after organizing it. And Yu Zairogang, that trash, actually dared to covet his disciple Bibai Dong. In his heart, the other party was already a dead man. It was just that because of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, he couldn't take action directly. After this incident, as long as Bibai Dong got the information, that Yu Zairogang would definitely be the first one to be slaughtered. At that time, with both human and material evidence, even if Donga killed the other party in public, that old thing Yu Yuanzhen would presumably not say anything. Thinking of this, Kyan Zunji couldn't help but reveal a triumphant smile. Although Fu Yi's death was a pity, being able to logically eliminate Yu Zairogang, that pest, as well as his disciple Bibai Dong's love affair, made him feel that Fu Yi's death had become very valuable. However, little did he know that Fu Yi was still alive and well, sitting in the blue-silver forest in the northwest of the continent, giggling while looking at his task panel. Divine rank cheat. Host Fu Yi. Age 18. Rank 99 Quasi-God, rank has been locked. Appearance Immortal Charm, highest level has been locked. First Spirit Divine Sense Sword Box, 1 box 9 swords, 9 great ultimate attributes. Red. Second Spirit, Dragon God, the origin of all spirit beasts, controlling the power of destruction and creation, the 6 great elemental powers as well as spatial power, and the chaos power of the origin of creation. Red. Mental Force, 99,999, Spiritual Domain Realm Peak, rank has been locked. Physique 100, max level 100, rank has been locked. Goddess Affinity List, Bibai Dong, 80% beginning of love, click to lock affinity so it does not decrease. System Mal, Warehouse, enter the name to take whatever you want that has existed in the Douluo world, 1234. System Hidden Function, 100% chance to drop spirit bone from spirit beasts. Personal luck index 100%. Lock dependence from getting pregnant, can choose to turn off. Comprehensive evaluation. What evaluation does a cheat need? It's just awesome. Chapter 3. Abducting Tang San's mom 10 years early. His cheat tool was truly powerful, but after his martial soul was bound, it could not be changed a second time. Consequently, he directly maxed out the quality of his first martial soul, and then chose the extremely overbearing Dragon God martial soul. With the system's support, his strength was stabilized at the level of a rank 99 quasi-god. Otherwise, relying solely on his Dragon God martial soul, which was equipped with 990,000 year spirit rings, he would likely have stepped into the divine rank long ago. Come out, there's no need to hide and seek before me. Fuyi turned back to look at the large tree not far away, which was covered in blue gold vines. His gilded eyes seemed to have long since seen through everything. When did you discover me? A blue gold silhouette stepped out from the ancient tree. Her charming figure and ethereal voice made the surrounding blue-silver grass, which radiated blue-gold light, pale in comparison. Fuyi was also momentarily stunned upon seeing the young girl, but he quickly reacted. From the moment I first arrived here. Fuyi slowly stood up, looking at the girl in the blue-gold dress before him. She must be the future mother of the child of luck Tang San, the blue-silver emperor, Yin. In his eyes, the phantom of the blue-silver emperor emerged behind the girl, clearly revealing her identity. Character Yin. True identity, 100,000 year blue-silver emperor transformation. Current rank, rank 65 spirit emperor. Spirit abilities, endless life, blue-silver emperor ultra-large range domain, blue-silver emperor range domain teleportation, myriad manifestations of the forest. You human are truly strange. Clearly you were just a spirit ancestor at first, but now I can no longer see through your cultivation. The girl took a step forward, as endless blue-silver grass supported her delicate bare feet, carrying her toward Fuyi. Oh, so you're saying you're not human? Looking at the air-headed blue-silver Emperor Yin before him, Fuyi suddenly understood why that 30-something-year-old Uncle Tang Hao was able to win her over. No, I am human just like you. As a 100,000 year blue-silver emperor transformation, who had already entered the mature stage, the reason she dared to speak so boldly with Fuyi was because this was her territory, and she didn't believe Fuyi could see through her true identity. As for why she revealed herself, well, she couldn't exactly say it was because Fuyi was very good-looking and she wanted to get to know him better. Oh, no. All right, I was just teasing you. It's time for me to leave. Thank you for not disturbing my cultivation just now. Fuyi revealed a brilliant smile, unaware of just how much lethal force his face, with its looks maxed out by the system, combined with his smile would have on a girl. After seeing Fuyi smile at her, Yin's thoughts began to race. Is this human leaving? It's so dangerous outside. Should I ask him to stay here and rest for a bit? No, he's a human, and humans are all bad. But he's really so good-looking, Yin likes him so much. Watching Fuyi's retreating back, a rosy flush danced across her cheeks, and wisps of white steam even rose from her head. Could you? Fuyi, who was just about to turn and leave, paused upon hearing the blue-silver emperor's words. When he looked back, he discovered that the favorability rating above blue-silver Emperor Yin's head was rising at an incredible speed. Blue-silver Emperor Yin favorability, 30%. Blue-silver Emperor Yin favorability, 50%. Blue-silver Emperor Yin favorability, 65%. Blue-silver Emperor Yin favorability, 75%. Is this the feeling of a racing heart? Can I go out and play with you? You want to come with me? Yes. What is your name? My name is Yin, and yours? Fu Ye. Heaven Do Empire, Imperial City. This place had nearly 1,000 years of history. The Heaven Do Empire had existed since the previous Sea God's ascension, and the imperial family had been passed down ever since. The Heaven Do imperial family were once believers of the Sea God, but later, because all the people who believed in the Sea God migrated away, the remaining members of the imperial family no longer worshipped the deity. The flow of pedestrians was constant, Fu Yi and his little tag-along Yin wore masks as they wove through the crowd. Although the two did not show their faces, the otherworldly temperament they possessed still caused ordinary people to subconsciously take a few extra glances. Moreover, Yin was always looking at everything in the human world with curious eyes. Fu Yi saw all of this. He hadn't expected the Blue-Silver Emperor to be such a naive sweetheart when she first entered human society in the original work. After walking for a long time, Fu Yi stopped in front of a restaurant. Juxiang Pavilion. It's been a long time since I've come here to look around. I really don't know if those old employees can still recognize me in my current form. Looking at the elegant and beautiful building before him, a light sigh escaped Fu Yi's lips. Yin, do you want to eat some delicious food in my shop? Yes. Yin nodded in agreement without a second thought. Seeing her charming and lovely appearance, Fu Yi helplessly labeled her as a naive sweetheart. Hey, Fu Yi is the best. She came to Fu Yi's side with a beaming smile, then tugged his arm and walked into Juxiang Pavilion. Feeling the warmth and softness on his arm, he was momentarily dazed, but he soon regained his senses, a hint of mischief appearing in his eyes. Since he had unknowingly abducted the Blue-Silver Emperor, Yin, he couldn't let that old man Tang Hao find another opening. Later, he would arrange a 2-meter-tall tomboy for him, so that the future child of luck, Tang San, could have a complete childhood. He patted Yin's little head and then led her inside. He had founded this Juxiang Pavilion when he was 13. Before that, it was actually an unfinished building. He bought the place at an ultra-low price and recruited some chefs with quite excellent skills. After everything stabilized, he distributed shares of the hotel to the kitchen and the front hall. 20% of the dividends went to the kitchen, 10% to the front desk, while he himself kept 70% of the profits. Because of the dividends, the chefs and front desk staff here all worked extremely hard, knowing that they would receive a corresponding share for every dish sold. Meanwhile, Fu Yi acted as a hands-off boss. Every month, a large sum of money would appear in his account for his expenses. Otherwise, relying solely on the small amount of money he received from Spirit Hall every month, it wouldn't even be enough for him to take those Spirit Hall officials out for meals and tea. This was also one of the reasons for his good popularity in Spirit Hall. He was willing to spend money on those people. As the saying goes, maintain an army for 1,000 days to use it for an hour. Since they had accepted his favors, they would repay him when he was in trouble. The reason Yu Xiaorogang's overt and covert suppression of him for 2 or 3 years hadn't caused any substantial impact was because these connections of his were at work. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Of course. He also knew the reason why he was later imprisoned for over half a year and almost died. It was Yu Xiaorogang using his influence and bribes, which meant no one dared to question his sudden disappearance anymore. In fact, it wasn't until half a year after he disappeared that the letter Yu Xiaorogang forged about him, leaving Spirit Hall, was delivered to the personnel department. However, he didn't want to deal with these trivial matters right now. Fu Yi couldn't bear to let Yu Xiaorogang die. After being disgusted by him for so many years, simply killing him would be letting him off too easily. Right now, he only wanted to eat some fine food to satisfy his appetite. After all, during his days of imprisonment, he hadn't had a single good meal. Zyro Lei, help me process these ingredients. Tell those head chefs in the kitchen to put some heart into it. Fu Yi took out a small pile of rare ingredients from his storage ring. 1,000-year earth dragon tendon, the core of a 1,000-year blue-veined vine, the belly of a 1,000-year golden-patterned tuna. You are, Boss Fu, rest assured you haven't come back to see us for over half a year. Leave this matter to me. Although Fu Yi hadn't removed his mask, they could never forget his voice and those deep, gilded eyes. Yeah, the usual spot, make it quick. Hearing Fu Yi's words, Zyro Li immediately nodded in agreement, but then he turned his gaze toward Yin, who was currently holding Fu Yi's arm. Boss, she is. Although she also wore a mask, her temperament and figure were extremely stunning. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Ask again and I'll dock half a day's wages. Yes, since the boss's wife has graced us with her presence, our Juxiang Pavilion won't let the boss lose face in front of her. With that, Zyro Li ran straight into the kitchen, shouting as he went for everyone to perk up because the boss's wife had arrived. Although Yin was simple-minded, she still understood a bit about human world titles. For example, she knew what boss's wife meant. At that thought, Yin's cheeks beneath the mask instantly turned crimson, and white steam rose from her blue-gold head once more. Chapter 4: Tang Hao and Tang Xiao. Graceful as a startled swan, supple as a swimming dragon, bright as the autumn chrysanthemum, lush as the spring pine. The usual spot Fu Yi mentioned was the best vantage point in their small restaurant, Juxiang Pavilion, and also the premier location for wealthy young masters here to treat their female companions to a meal. Sitting in a private room on the second floor, Yin looked down at the bustling crowd below, her ice-blue eyes filled with curiosity. Upon seeing her charming, smiling expression, Fu Yi felt a sudden inspiration and recalled that poem from his past life. Graceful as a startled swan, supple as a swimming dragon, bright as the autumn chrysanthemum, lush as the spring pine. After hearing Fu Yi's words, Yin repeated them to herself. However, as a spirit beast that had just transformed and was new to the human world, how could she possibly understand the ancient poetry from the 5,000-year history of Blue Star, Fu Yi's past life? Although I don't understand it, Yin feels like this sentence sounds very impressive. Yin thought for a long time before finally flopping onto the table, motionless. If she couldn't figure it out, she simply wouldn't think about it anymore. The language of the human world was truly troublesome. Thinking too much made her head ache. Watching Yin like this, Fu Yi wore a smug smile. Little one, you haven't even mastered the language of the Douluo Continent yet, and you want to study the essence of our blue star. Don't look so listless. That sentence I said was complimenting your beauty. As evening approached, the number of guests on the first floor gradually increased. Hearing these diners praise the food and service attitude of his shop, a smile appeared on the corner of Fu Yi's mouth. As Iron Man once said, as long as the money is right, you can even take down a god. Based on the business in his shop, the money these employees earned in a month was likely what they could only earn in a year at other shops, so he was never short of top-tier chefs and waiters with excellent attitudes. The food cooked by the chef wasn't delicious. Forget about the customers disagreeing. Even the chefs working alongside him would beat the offender up upon hearing that. To pull a single punch would be a sign of disrespect to the money. Boss Fu, your dishes are here. Before long, Xiao Lizzie had two good-looking waitresses bring up Fu Yi's dishes. When they lifted the lids, a pungent, intoxicating aroma quickly permeated the entire street. Many diners here, upon smelling the rich aroma of the meat, couldn't help but look up to find the source of the fragrance. Boss Fu, this is braised thousand-year earth dragon tendon, butter-baked thousand-year green tendon vine root core, and... There were a total of 7 dishes on the table, each perfect in color, aroma, and taste. One had to know that these were all thousand-year level spiritual items and spirit beast meat. Eating such a grand meal was equivalent to about a month of cultivation. All right, Xiao Lizzie, everyone has worked hard today. I have some leftovers here. Keep them for everyone to have an extra meal tonight. Fu Yi took out some more spiritual items and thousand-year spirit beast meat. After all, he was not lacking in these things, and he was happy today. Thank you, big boss. Seeing these leftovers, Xiao Lizzie's eyes gleamed. These things were very expensive when sold outside. Even as a veteran employee of Juxiang Pavilion, he wouldn't dare to be this extravagant. But if the boss ate meat, he, as the underling, could follow and drink some soup. This scene was also seen by other diners and passers-by, but when they saw Fu Yi and Yin, they were all stunned in their tracks. My god, so the boss of Juxiang Pavilion is actually a young man. Auntie, shut your stinky mouth, don't tarnish my male god. Wow, big brother is so handsome, and big sister is so beautiful. So handsome, mom, I'm in love. Under the glow of the lights, the appearance of Fu Yi and Yin was even more stunning than before. Yet Yin, that naive girl, was currently struggling with the dilemma of whether to eat the earth dragon tendon or the tuna belly first. Therefore, she didn't notice the gazes from outside, staring intently at the thousand-year earth dragon tendon and the thousand-year tuna belly. Let's eat the earth dragon tendon first, it smells so good. No, I should eat the tuna belly first, it's shiny. All right, then. If you ask me, let's eat the thousand-year tuna belly first, that counts as an appetizer. Before Yin, Fu Yi picked up a piece of golden tuna belly and put it into his mouth. The soft, glutinous and sweet tuna belly melted in his mouth. After sliding into his stomach, it turned into a warm current that nourished his limbs and bones. This refreshing feeling greatly increased his appetite. Delicious. He was very satisfied with the tuna belly, automatically recommended by the system's goods. After all, he had only input 3 words at the time: delicious food. When Fuyi was about to pick up more food, he noticed that Yin was looking at him. He didn't notice the blush on Yin's cheeks and, with lightning speed, picked up a piece of tuna belly and stuffed it into her mouth. Only when the tuna belly entered her mouth did Yin slowly snap out of it. The tuna belly had a smooth, tender and dense texture. Underneath the sweet taste, there was a hint of the saltiness of the sea, making it very refreshing. So delicious. Feeling the warm current in her stomach, Yin knew this was good stuff, and the taste was top-notch. If it's delicious, eat more. If it's not enough, ask them to make more. After speaking, Fuyi immediately started his devouring food mode, and Yin, after tasting the sweetness, also began to enjoy the delicacies. This scene was also seen by 2 men wearing black cloaks, not far away. What a beautiful girl. Indeed, very beautiful, but it's a pity she has a male companion. So what? So, eat until full, then smash the place. Let that girl know what a real man with strength is. I also like her very much. So, let's rely on our own abilities. The 2 mumbled for a long time, unaware that their conversation had been heard clearly by Fuyi. Right in front of him, an electronic screen silently appeared. Tang Hao identity, Clear Sky Sect disciple, grandson of the current sect leader, age 33 years old, spirit power, level 83 spirit, Douluo spirit, Clear Sky Hammer, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. Tang Zyro identity, Clear Sky Sect disciple, Tang Hao's older brother, age 55 years old, spirit power, level 83 spirit, Douluo spirit, Clear Sky Hammer, yellow, yellow. Purple, purple, black, 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 black. Watching the 2 approaching, the corner of Fuyi's mouth curled into a slight smile. They were already over 30 years old, yet they were still eyeing a young girl. However, in the Xuanhuan world of the Douluo Continent, the age of romantic partners is actually not very important. It was just that Fuyi was using a modern perspective. After all, on Blue Star, a 33-year-old uncle dating a teenage girl would be more or less awkward. Of course, it's not like it doesn't happen. Suddenly, a bit of mischievousness rose in Fuyi's heart. He was thinking about whether he should set up Tang Hao and Yu Guan. That would give Tang San an epic level enhancement. First spirit, Silk Chrysanthemum. Second spirit, Clear Sky Hammer. Oh my mother, the scene would be too beautiful for him to even imagine. Chapter 5, Just Go, I Won't Charge You. Fuyi and Yin, such a celestial couple, truly made others envious and jealous. After all, being good-looking is one thing, but they actually paired up and showed off their affection in public. Some child with a business mind was currently carrying a dozen bags of cement and setting them up on the road, with a sign in front reading, 250 per bag. After eating and drinking his fill, Fuyi sat in his seat, watching the passers-by downstairs with a look of contentment, while Yin was still nibbling bit by bit on the red jade shrimp in her palm. Pop! A crisp sound came from Yin's lower abdomen. Fuyi turned his head to look at her, and discovered that this little girl had actually achieved a breakthrough just from eating a meal. She was now a level 66 Spirit Emperor powerhouse. Her little face was flushed red. Although she knew that the food in front of her contained a great deal of energy, it was a pity that she couldn't eat any more. Watching Yin's conflicted little expression, wanting to eat but unable to, Fuyi just felt she was simply too cute. All right, if you can't finish it, just put it away and eat it tomorrow. Even if it's a good thing, eating too much at once will harm your body. Fuyi waved his hand, and the remaining food was stored away into his system's storage space. The half-eaten red jade shrimp in Yin's hand was taken by Fuyi right in front of her, and he unceremoniously ate it. My shrimp, Yin watched everything happen with a face full of grievance. However, when she came to her senses, she discovered that her shrimp had already been eaten up by this bad guy, Fuyi. I'll letter 2C7, letter 2C7. Be good, listen to me. Eating too much of this highly nourishing stuff is bad for your body. Although the physique of a transformed spirit beast is strong, it is still a human body. If she were to overeat like a spirit beast, her body absolutely could not bear it. All right. Feeling the surging energy within her body, Yin felt that coming out to play with Fuyi was a very correct decision. At this moment, Fuyi covered Tang Hao and Tang Zyro, that pair of Clear Sky Sect brothers, with his mental force, wanting to see what kind of little tricks they would pull. Sure enough, not long after, the sound of bowls and chopsticks crashing to the floor came from downstairs. Clap bang. Is this food you people serve even meant for humans to eat? How dare you sell such disgusting things? A rough roar came from the first floor, but as Fu Yi looked at Tang Hao downstairs, it was as if he were watching a clown. So what if he smashed a bowl or dropped some chopsticks? As long as the other party could pay for the damages, everything was fine. Sir, we are very sorry that the taste of our food does not suit your palate, but I see that you have finished the food, so shouldn't you settle the bill? The waitress remained calm and unruffled. She had encountered many such customers. Those who refused to pay or caused trouble at their Juxiang pavilion would later be regarded as blacklisted and would not be allowed to make a second purchase there. As for customers constantly causing trouble, that was even more impossible. The Juxiang pavilion was located near Heaven-do Imperial City. Using force near the Imperial City, that would indeed be a bit bold. The commotion on Tang Hao's side also attracted the attention of many diners. At this moment, Fu Yi was leaning against the window like an outsider, watching the two brothers, Tang Hao and Tang Xiao, like clowns. Fu Yi, what are they doing? Smashing bowls after eating, how impolite. Ah Yin looked at the two people below, her ice blue eyes filled with disgust. Just two clowns, that's all. You should avoid such bandits in the future. Memo. Fu Yi and Ah Yin did not avoid anyone when they spoke, so anyone with a bit of cultivation could hear them, including, of course, the two brothers Tang Hao and Tang Xiao. Sister Lan, go back to your work. Don't collect the bill from these two. It's only 100 gold coins. It's not like our Juxiang pavilion can't afford the loss. However, we need to add the Clear Sky sect to our blacklist from now on. The waitress downstairs was named Xiao Lan. Like little Lei, she was a senior, long-term employee in his shop, and she was basically the one who handled things when trouble arose in the front hall. Yes, boss. After hearing Fu Yi's words, Xiao Lan nodded and smiled very politely at Tang Hao and Tang Xiao, and then completely ignored them. However, just at this moment, someone let out an exclamation. Clear Sky Sect, I remember now, they seem to be those two geniuses from the Clear Sky Sect. No wonder I felt they looked familiar. It's the two brothers Tang Hao and Tang Xiao. But the rumored two heroes of the Clear Sky Sect seem to be nothing special. At least their character is substandard. Consequently, amidst the scathing criticism from the crowd, the faces of Tang Hao and Tang Xiao alternated between green and white. Fu Yi just watched Tang Xiao and Tang Hao standing on the first floor, looking embarrassed. He didn't pay much attention to them. Nowadays, two spirit Douluo were about the same as ants in his eyes. HMPH, isn't it just 100 gold coins? I can afford it. There is a saying, cold violence and public opinion are the heaviest blows to a man. Tang Hao and Tang Xiao had originally intended to pick a fight and then cause trouble, but after all that, Fu Yi simply said, just go, I won't charge you, but we won't entertain you, including your sect, in the future. This sentence made them feel as if they had punched a cotton ball, and Tang Hao and Tang Xiao certainly understood what the other party meant by those words. Tang Hao said this and was about to pay, but Fu Yi indicated, you only realize your mistake now. Sorry, it's too late. Very sorry, sir, your table's meal has been waived, so there is no need to pay any fees. Xiao Lan was currently standing in front of other customers recording bills. Tang Hao, this burly man, directly took out a bag of money to hand to her. She had basic professional ethics, and furthermore, this was something the boss had personally said did not need to be paid for. Of course, they had already been added to the blacklist. In the future, as long as anyone from the Clear Sky Sect came, they would not provide any service, and the names of Tang Hao and Tang Xiao would be posted on the innermost wall of the second floor, just like the others. What is the meaning of this, Juxiang Pavilion? You won't even take money when it's offered. Tang Hao had finally found a point to vent his anger. His original intention was just to teach that youth on the second floor a lesson, and let that girl know what true masculine spirit was. Now he had ended up becoming a scoundrel who ate without paying, and he had even been blacklisted here. Xiao Lan was not flustered when she heard Tang Hao's voice, which sounded like a bronze bell. After all, she was also a high-level spirit ancestor. If she didn't even have this bit of composure, she wouldn't be able to hold the position of front hall manager at Juxiang Pavilion. Very sorry, sir. Our Juxiang Pavilion is just a small business and simply cannot withstand bullying from big powers like yours. If you don't like our dishes, we can waive your bill, but please do not come and make things difficult for our shop in the future. After all, you were the one who said it tasted bad first, and you were the one who didn't want to pay. Now you insist on paying. This makes it very difficult for us common folk. Chapter 6 Spirit Douluo Chenzin takes action. Zyro Lan's words were both tactful and sharp, playing dumb while knowing full well what was going on. She was just an employee, earning her living through her own talent. If everyone acted like Tang Hao, shouting and being a hooligan, she wouldn't be happy at work. No, you must accept this money. Tang Hao was getting anxious. He could lose face, but the reputation of the Clear Sky sect, the #1 sect in the world, absolutely could not be lost. Seeing this series of actions from Tang Hao, Yin had a look of confusion on her small face. Fu Yi, didn't that uncle just say the food wasn't good and he didn't want to pay? Why is he forcing that big sister to take the money now? I don't know, perhaps he just couldn't find his money earlier. The conversation between Yin and Fu Yi was overheard by the surrounding diners, and soon someone chuckled softly. Not good, so don't pay, then force them to take payment. Maybe he couldn't find his money. After hearing Fu Yi and Yin's words, Tang Hao and Tang Zyro could finally no longer keep their composure. Their faces twisted, as the widely renowned twin heroes of the Clear Sky sect, the #1 sect in the world, when had they ever suffered such indignity? However, before Tang Hao could release his Spirit Douluo level spirit power, the young man who had just finished paying Zyro Lan suddenly erupted with a wave of spirit power, not the least bit weaker than Tang Hao's. I say, friend, I frequent this Juxiang pavilion often. The taste and price are very much to my liking. If you don't like it, you can leave. They aren't forcing you to pay. But if you want to trash this place, this old regular customer won't agree to it. He slowly stood up, his gaze like a sword, staring at Tang Hao before him. At this moment, Tang Zyro, sensing this tyrannical wave of spirit power, stood directly in front of his brother. Fu Yi raised an eyebrow upon seeing this scene, because his system had just provided him with detailed information about that young man. Sword Dao Chenzin. Chenzin, age 60, identity, the sole survivor of the War Spirit sect, the only contemporary successor of the 7-kill sword spirit, once the strongest tool spirit on the continent, rank 89 spirit, 7-kill sword, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black. Both sides were at daggers drawn. The surrounding diners didn't dare to breathe, while Tang Hao cast his gaze toward Fu Yi, who was sitting on the second floor watching the show, his eyes filled with coldness. If you want to fight, go outside. Don't ruin Juxiang Pavilion's business. Sword Dao Chenzin didn't bother with nonsense. He had been idle for a while and his hands were itching. It just so happened he encountered these two troublemaking spirit Douluos from the Clear Sky sect at his regular restaurant. As for the fact that the Clear Sky sect had snatched away the title of the strongest tool spirit from their War Spirit sect's 7-kill sword, he had always wanted to take back the title of the strongest with his own hands. HMPH, I'll leave the money here. I, Tang Hao, am not someone who can't even afford a meal. Tang Hao placed the bag of money directly on the table, but Zyro Lan paid no attention to him. After finishing the bill for Chenzin, she went to busy herself with other matters. As for the other waiters, they were now relying on their jobs to buy houses, marry wives, and achieve financial freedom. Why would they care about Tang Hao's pocket change? Moreover, there was a rule here: thieves would be fired immediately. They weren't stupid. Consequently, everyone saw this comical scene. Not a single one of the 6 or 7 waiters on the first floor paid any attention to Tang Hao. Wow, it's rare to see the twin heroes of the Clear Sky sect get snubbed. Haha, what twin heroes? They're the twin plagues, haha. It's over, Juxiang Pavilion is super famous here. When they update their blacklist tomorrow, won't the Clear Sky sect be embarrassed? Wow, so exciting, but who is that young man? His aura is completely on par with Tang Hao and Tang Zyro. Amidst the discussion of the crowd, Chenzin and the brothers Tang Hao and Tang Zyro walked outside. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Since it was nearing evening, there were fewer pedestrians on the road. Many people, seeing the tension between Chenzin and the brothers Tang Hao and Tang Zyro, stayed far away to watch the show. One must know that the names of Tang Hao and Tang Zyro were quite famous in Heaven Do City, but no one knew who the man standing opposite them was. At this moment, Fu Yi was searching for items in the system Mal. Found it. Item Great Perfection Level Sword Intent. Stock 99,999. Price 0. Can take at most 1 at a time. Item opportunity for epiphany. Stock 99,999. Price 0, can take at most one at a time. Fuyi clicked to confirm the purchase. Congratulations to the host for purchasing Great Perfection Level Sword Intent ×1. Congratulations to the host for purchasing Opportunity for Epiphany ×1. Congratulations to the host for the fusion of Great Perfection Level Sword Intent. The Great Perfection Level Sword Intent instantly filled Fuyi's body. This Tao of the sword concept felt as if he had tempered it for thousands of years, allowing him to retract and release it at will. Watching Sword Dao Chenzin standing up for Juxiang Pavilion below, a smile appeared on the corner of Fuyi's mouth. Tang Hao Rank 83 Attack System Spirit Douluo, Spirit Clear Sky Hammer. Tang Xiaro Rank 83 Attack System Spirit Douluo, Spirit Clear Sky Hammer. May I ask what your excellency is called? Tang Hao and Tang Xiaro both displayed their strength, and Chenzin's eyes were now filled with battle intent. Chenzin, Rank 89, Attack System Spirit Douluo, Spirit 7 Kill Sword. As his voice fell, an aura of slaughter instantly permeated the surrounding air, and in his hand, a sharp long sword flashing with cold light in the dark night suddenly appeared. 7 Kill Sword, you are the survivor of the War Spirit sect, Sword Dao Chenzin. As one of the lower 3 sects, the War Spirit sect's 7 Kill Sword spirit was extremely formidable and had once dominated the title of the strongest tool spirit. If it hadn't been for Tang Hao's grandfather, Tang Chen, sweeping across the continent with his Clear Sky Hammer spirit single-handedly, the 7 Kill Sword would still be the #1 tool spirit on the continent. However, the 7 Kill Sword was passed down through a single line. The previous sect master, who was Chenzin's father, sought a breakthrough and challenged the limit Douluo Qian Dailiu, ultimately dying at the hands of the Spirit Hall. The War Spirit sect consequently fell into internal strife and completely declined. Tang Hao and Tang Xiaro hadn't expected to encounter him here by such a coincidence. One must know that according to rumors, the disciples of the War Spirit sect all had swords as their spirits, and every disciple was a total battle maniac, and the sect master's son, Sword Dao Chenzin, was even more so. There's no point in talking more. Today I want to see if your Clear Sky Hammer is as formidable as the rumors say. After saying this, an indescribable aura of slaughter instantly enveloped the entire scene. The brothers Tang Hao and Tang Xiaro looked at each other, and both could see the gravity in the other's eyes. However, although the opponent was 5 ranks higher than them, they had 2 people. 1 kill per step, 7 kills in 7 steps. Hum! Accompanied by the humming sound of the long sword, Sword Dao Chenzin was instantly enveloped by a dense sword kai, covering his body like the protective aura in the Wuxia world, but it also carried a tyrannical cutting force that could instantly tear objects touching his body into pieces. First Spirit Ability, Long Sword Unsheathed. Chapter 7, Suppressing the Tang Hao Brothers. The battle between Chenzin, the Sword Douluo, and the Tang Hao brothers caused the diners at Juxiang Pavilion to set down their meals, as they all turned their attention to the clash between these 3 Spirit Douluos. After all, one can eat at any time, but a battle between Spirit Douluos is a rare sight. The gap between the 2 sides did not appear significant at the moment, and Chenzin, taking on 2 opponents at once, was trading blows evenly with the brothers Tang Hao and Tang Xiaro. However, to Fuyi, the situation on the field was already clear. Chenzin's rapidly depleting spirit power was simply insufficient for him to overcome his opponents, and neither Tang Hao nor Tang Xiaro had yet unleashed the unique skills of the Clear Sky sect. They were well aware that their opponent was already struggling against 2, and to unleash their family's unique skills now would be, to some extent, shameless. One must realize that the Clear Sky sect had not yet been suppressed by Spirit Hall and remained the #1 sect in the world. Being the #1 sect in the world, they naturally had to uphold martial virtue. 6th Spirit Ability, 10,000 Swords Return to Origin. Fine beads of sweat had appeared on Chenzin's forehead. He was well aware that his chances of winning against 2 opponents were slim. But he could not stand for them tearing down his favorite restaurant, not to mention that he had long wanted to have a go at these 2 brothers. Endless spirit power instantly condensed into thousands of long swords in the sky, their tips pointed directly at Tang Hao and Tang Xiaro. 6th Spirit Ability, Heaven-Piercing Strike. 6th Spirit Ability, Heaven-Piercing Strike. Seeing that Chenzin was no longer holding back, the 6 spirit rings behind Tang Hao and Tang Zyro simultaneously flashed with dazzling light. These were lock-on skills. To avoid injury, one had to rely on attacks to disperse their strike. Tang Hao and Tang Zyro were clearly trying to outlast Chen Xin in a test of endurance. Swish, swish, swish. Bang, bangs, bang. The endless long swords collided with the 2 pitch-black giant hammers, emitting a series of crisp clanging sounds. Beads of sweat had already formed on Chen Xin's palms, but he gritted his teeth and continued to condense long swords to attack his opponents. A swordsman must possess an indomitable will. My heart is like a sword. As Chen Xin condensed the 7-kill sword in his hand, a towering sword intent shot straight toward Tang Hao and Tang Zyro before him. 8th spirit ability, first form, mountain shifting. The 8th spirit ring behind Chen Xin flashed with a dazzling brilliance, and Tang Zyro and Tang Hao's 6th spirit abilities were instantly torn apart. 8th spirit ability, second form, sea filling. Endless sword might swept across the sky toward Tang Hao and Tang Zyro, while Chen Xin's spirit power was by now almost completely exhausted. 8th spirit ability, Titan strength. 8th spirit ability, Heavenly Ox divine force. Tang Hao and Tang Zyro dared not be careless. This was a spirit Douluo's 8th spirit ability. Furthermore, the sheer momentum was not inferior to the 9th spirit abilities of some titled Douluos. Boom! 1 sword and 2 hammers collided, releasing a terrifying energy shockwave. Chen Xin's spirit power was nearly bottoming out, and he knew full well that he had lost this confrontation, yet he felt no regret. Fighting against the strong was, in itself, a way to transcend oneself, much like his stubborn father, who, in pursuit of a breakthrough, had proactively provoked Qian Dailiu, who had already achieved the rank of Limit Douluo. You're quite interesting, care to be friends? An ethereal yet magnetic voice drifted into Chen Xin's ears. He looked toward the source of the voice beside him in surprise, only to discover that this person who had suddenly appeared was none other than the young owner of Juxiang Pavilion. Get out of here quickly, their attack is about to. Chen Xin suddenly seemed to realize something, his eyes glancing down in panic at the combined strike of Tang Hao and Tang Zyro. Protected by his spirit sword, he wouldn't suffer too much injury, but the young owner who had suddenly appeared before him certainly couldn't withstand it. Boom! Before Chen Xin could do anything, the opponent's terrifying offensive had already slammed down in front of them. A massive roar shook their entire Heaven-Dew Imperial City, and thick white smoke billowed up from the location where Chen Xin and Fu Yi stood. Tang Hao and Tang Zyro exchanged a glance. They knew Chen Xin absolutely could not withstand their combined strike. However, before they could rejoice for long, a terrifying pressure instantly enveloped them both. Their bodies froze in place, and the surrounding diners and passers-by who were watching the commotion were unable to move a muscle just from feeling a trace of the lingering aftermath. Step, step, step. Crisp footsteps echoed from within the smoke. As the dust settled, the crowd was shocked to see a young man walking out from the haze. Looking closely, they realized this person was none other than the owner of Juxiang Pavilion. He actually had the strength to suppress 3 spirit Douluos. The brothers Tang Hao and Tang Zyro were terrified. This terrifying aura definitely belonged to a titled Douluo-level expert. However, when they clearly saw the other person's face, their faces, already unable to move because their bodies were immobilized, showed even more panic and disbelief. As the 2 most outstanding geniuses of the Clear Sky sect, you actually come here again and again to make things difficult for my staff, and even attempt to destroy my restaurant. Fu Yi's eyes were filled with disdain and indifference toward Tang Hao and Tang Zyro. It seems I'll have to pay a visit to your Clear Sky sect one of these days to have a good look around. His voice betrayed no emotion, yet the terror on the faces of the brothers Tang Hao and Tang Zyro could not be hidden. I will go to the Clear Sky sect and have a nice chat with your elders, you 2 pieces of trash. My Juxiang Pavilion does not welcome uncouth country bumpkins like those in your Clear Sky sect who eat from the bowl and then curse the cook. I'll spare you this time, now get lost. Tang Hao and Tang Zyro could not die yet. After all, one should try to keep things like the Child of Luck in their original state. Only then could he maintain the advantage of foresight. After all, if Tang Hao died, Tang San might turn into Li San or Wang San, and finding him would be a real hassle. Retracting his aura as a level 99 quasi-god, the brothers Tang Hao and Tang Xiao finally breathed a sigh of relief. However, they were drenched in cold sweat, and their eyes were filled with sheer terror as they looked at Fu Yi. "Brother, get out of here, are you not embarrassed enough already?" Fu Yi ignored the two of them and walked straight over to Chen Xin, the sword Douluo. "Care for a drink, friend?" "Hm. A drink of wine." Taking a deep breath, he replied, "Who Tilda very well." The diners at Juxiang Pavilion were all in an uproar when they saw Fu Yi suppress 3 spirit Douluos. They had no idea that the owner of this small Juxiang Pavilion could be so strong. Fu Yi ignored the discussions of the diners and began to browse the alcoholic beverages recommended by the system. Item: Spirit Wine. After consuming 1 jar, cultivation speed can be slightly increased for 1 day, no conditions limitations. Stock, 99,999. Maximum 50 jars at a time, free. Item: Century Spirit Wine. After consuming 1 jar, cultivation speed can be increased by a small amount for 1 day, cannot be consumed by those below Spirit Elder. Stock, 99,999. Maximum 50 jars at a time, free. Item: Millennium Spirit Wine. After consuming 1 jar, cultivation speed can be significantly increased for 1 day, cannot be consumed by those below Spirit Saint. Stock, 99,999. Maximum 50 jars at a time, free. Item: 10,000-Year Spirit Wine. After consuming 1 jar, cultivation speed can be doubled for 1 day, cannot be consumed by those below titled Douluo. Stock, 99,999. Maximum 50 jars at a time, free. Looking at the alcohol recommended by the system, Fu Yi felt that this system was truly useful. As long as it was an item that appeared in the Douluo world, it could find it, regardless of what it was, and then directly execute a zero-cost purchase. Fu Yi estimated his own tolerance and thought about it, deciding to take out 30 jars first to test the waters. After all, the effects of these items were decent, but not particularly heaven-defying. Bringing Chen Xin to his private room, Yin was still looking at Fu Yi with curiosity on her face. After all, at the beginning, she had only sensed that Fu Yi was a spirit ancestor, but how could his strength now be even greater than a spirit Douluo? She could not fathom the reason for this at all. Chapter 8: Yin's Stealing a Drink. After regaining his composure, Chen Xin curiously sized up Fu Yi, who had invited him for a drink. He found it hard to believe that a youth who looked no older than 16 or 17 could possess such terrifying strength. Swish, swish, swish. With a wave of Fu Yi's hand, a pile of seemingly ancient wine jars filled the space at their feet. Seeing these aged brews, Chen Xin's eyes lit up. Just by looking at the condition of the clay jars, he knew these wines were treasures buried for over a century. "Pop, please." Fu Yi casually picked up a jar and pried open the sealed lid. As this jar of Millennium Spirit Wine was opened, an incredibly rich aroma of wine instantly permeated the entire Juxiang Pavilion. As expected of my collection, the taste is really not bad." Fu Yi shamelessly claimed what he had gotten for free from the system as his own collection. Upon smelling the aroma, Chen Xin's eyes brightened. Spirit wine, and it was a treasure of at least several hundred years of agging, a centennial spirit wine. "It smells so good, Yin wants to drink some too." Yin sat directly beside Fu Yi, her ice blue eyes filled with longing for the Millennium Spirit Wine. "No, you haven't even turned 18 yet. You can't drink." Yin wanted to drink. That wouldn't do. This was Millennium-level spirit wine. She, a young spirit emperor, could not drink it. "Brother Chen Xin, let's drink. Considering you stepped out to help my Juxiang Pavilion today, let's consider this a way to make friends with you." After saying that, Fu Yi waved his hand, and the lids of 30 jars of Millennium Spirit Wine were all lifted at once. The rich aroma of wine spread for miles, drawing out the cravings of many drunkards. Gulps, gulp. After downing a jar of Millennium Spirit Wine, Fu Yi felt a warm sensation all over his body. Although this stuff had no effect on him, Cheng Yaojin once said something very true: as long as it's something that goes into your stomach, it's not a waste. Chen Xin was also a forthright person. Since Fu Yi had put it that way, what would it look like if he continued to be coy? A man should just drink. However, Yin, looking aggrieved that the bad guy Fu Yi wouldn't let her drink the delicious stuff, secretly released her blue silver emperor and stealthily inserted it into the last 2 jars of Millennium Spirit Wine. After drinking this sweet water, a satisfied smile hung on her face. though she hadn't noticed that her head seemed to be getting dizzy. Neither Fu Yi nor Chen Xin used their spirit power to dispel the drunkenness. After all, with their cultivation, it was very easy to stay sober, but the feeling of an empty mind after getting drunk was more relaxing. The two of them drank until the middle of the night, finishing 14 jars of wine each. However, Fu Yi was a bit dazed at this moment. He clearly remembered that he and Chen Xin had only drunk 14 jars of wine, so why were the last 2 jars empty? But he clearly didn't notice this issue at the time, assuming he had just forgotten in his drunken stupor. After using his spirit power to regain some of his senses, he placed Chen Xin in a guest room here and gave him a small opportunity, an epiphany opportunity obtained from the system. As for him, he took Yin to the room he had built on the top floor, which was also his residence here. It was similar to the residential buildings on Blue Star, with 3 bedrooms, a living room, and a large balcony. After settling the sleeping Yin in the guest bedroom, Fu Yi got up and returned to his master bedroom. It wasn't that he was a gentleman, he just didn't want to take advantage of someone in a vulnerable state. Taking someone's innocence while they were dazed from alcohol was, in Fu Yi's view, the most shameful act. Fu Yi lay on his bed, feeling a mix of emotions. After obtaining invincible power, he was initially excited and thrilled, but he knew that this invincibility would bring him a lot of emptiness in the future, so he had to find something to fill his heart. Then he would just woo more girls. After all, his system could lock the other party's affection level, so it would never decrease, so he would set a small goal first. Use his personal charm to capture all the girls in the Douluo world. Yeah, that's it. In the middle of the night, Fu Yi was fast asleep. His door was gently pushed open, and Yin, dressed in a blue-gold dress, walked to his side, stepping on countless blue-silver emperor vines. Her eyes were still filled with drunkenness, and her cheeks were flushed with a rosy hue. The blue-silver emperor supported her as she crawled into Fu Yi's quilt, her little head resting gently against Fu Yi's chest. Yin likes the scent on Fu Yi. Still immersed in his sleep, Fu Yi seemed to feel the warmth and softness in his arms and instinctively pulled the other person into his embrace. A faint smile appeared on his cheek, as if he were having a very sweet dream. On the other side, Chen Xin in the guest room had already fallen into a state of clarity. This was an epiphany. In the state of epiphany, a spirit master could more clearly understand the essence of cultivation and the essence of their own spirit. It is known that there is a saying circulating in the spirit master's world that after an epiphany, there will be no bottlenecks for 10 years. This was an opportunity that a spirit master would struggle to encounter once in a lifetime. If an epiphany were interrupted by someone else, at best, future cultivation would be hindered with no progress, and at worst, cultivation level would directly regress. Early in the morning sun rose from the east, and Fu Yi gradually woke up from his sleep. Perhaps because he hadn't had a good sleep in a long time, he felt that his sleep quality last night was top-notch. Of course, except for the feeling of being weighed down as if by a ghost, everything else was quite good. Rubbing his sleepy eyes and looking at the sun that had just risen, Fu Yi tightened his hold on the soft, fragrant presence in his arms, preparing to sleep a little longer. Wait, didn't I sleep alone last night? Thinking of this, Fu Yi's golden eyes instantly opened wide. Then he rubbed his eyes, which hadn't yet focused. As the figure in his pupils gradually came into focus, a blue-gold figure slowly appeared before his eyes. Yin. No, how did she climb into his bed? Didn't he settle her in the guest bedroom last night? Just as Fu Yi was frantically recalling the scenes from last night, Yin woke up at this moment. She rubbed her sleepy eyes, her ice-blue eyes full of laziness. When she saw Fu Yi also opening his eyes and looking at her, she was actually a bit puzzled. Fu Yi, let's get up later. Yin wants to sleep a little longer. After saying this, Fu Yi saw Yin just close her eyes and continue sleeping so openly. However, before a few seconds had passed, she seemed to feel a bit uncomfortable and shifted her body. It was this rub that caused this adolescent boy, Fu Yi, to immediately. Suddenly, Fu Yi's eyes widened sharply, with a look of disbelief in his pupils. Chapter 9: Capturing Tang San's mother, Yin. On this day, not only did Sword Douluo not leave the house, but Fu Yi and Yin did not go out either. Fu Yi, who had maintained his virginity for nearly 18 years, had finally surrendered his first time to a blade of grass. Regarding this, he remarked, "Marvelous tilde." As evening approached, Fu Yi and Yin, this pair of dry wood and raging fire, were still entwined. At this moment, Yin lay limp in front of Fu Yi, her exquisite, pretty face flushed with a rosy glow. In truth, she did not quite understand human love and affection. She only knew that Fuyi was very handsome, and the aura on his body held an extraordinary attraction for her. Moreover, Fuyi was very strong and could give her enough sense of security, so she liked Fuyi. Late at night, she curled up in Fuyi's arms, fast asleep, with an indescribable sense of satisfaction in her heart. At this moment, she felt as if she were beside a warm hearth, and everything from her past as a spirit beast seemed like passing smoke after meeting Fuyi. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining Yin's 100% favorability. Favorability has been automatically locked. Another morning arrived, and Fuyi finally understood what it meant by from now on, the monarch does not attend morning court. With soft fragrance in his arms, he had absolutely no intention of doing anything else. After thinking about it, he still opened the shop within the system. Item Yin and Yang Creation Grass Stock, 99,999. The user's spirit will increase by 1 grade 100%, and after consumption, there will be no more bottlenecks in future cultivation. Free. Item Divine Rank Kidney Treasure Stock, 999,999. After consuming, you will be more fierce and mighty, with a certain chance of increasing a tiny bit. Please consume with caution, and this medicine has no side effects. Free. Item Level 99 Limit Douluo Puppet Stock, 99,999. 100% obedient, 100% submissive, an iron block with no self-awareness that can hide in anyone's shadow. Free. Browsing through, Fuyi discovered that this divine rank kidney treasure was a good thing. Not only could it make him stronger, but it could also make him bigger, although his was already big enough. After all, Yin had personally experienced it for a whole day yesterday, and even now her body was still twitching slightly. Whatever, let's drink a bottle to refresh myself first. Fuyi did not hesitate and directly selected to purchase it. Congratulations to the host for purchasing Divine Rank, Kidney Treasure ×1. Gulps gulp. With a bottle of kidney treasure down his throat, Fuyi felt his body instantly filled with strength once again. However, given Yin's current situation, she definitely couldn't play with him properly, so it was better to let her rest for a while. He rolled out of bed and put on his clothes. Yin was still fast asleep at this moment, after all. It was her first time experiencing human affairs yesterday, so she needed to rest more to recover her origin Kai. Looking at the limit Douluo Puppet in the system list, Fuyi immediately bought one. Congratulations to the host for purchasing level 99 limit Douluo Puppet ×1. Clang! As Fuyi's thought moved, the next moment, a figure clad in pitch-black armor appeared before him. Bang! Accompanied by the sound, it actually knelt directly on one knee on the ground. Master! This voice was so stiff, but thinking that these were puppets without any consciousness, he felt it was quite normal. Protect the safety of the blue-silver Emperor Yin, and do not let her get hurt. After hearing Fuyi's words, this pitch-black armor actually merged directly into Yin's shadow. Afterward, Fuyi carefully sensed it. Even with his strength, he could not find any clues, but he could rely on the puppet beacon given by the system to find the other party's location. This was equivalent to Fuyi putting a layer of protection and a positioning system on Yin. However, he thought about it and still felt it was not safe enough. What if that old guy Kaian Douluo teamed up with Tang Chen to attack Yin? He had to be prepared. Congratulations to the host for purchasing level 99 limit Douluo Puppet ×9. Master! 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 Looking at the 9 black-armored puppets kneeling before him, a reassuring smile appeared on Fuyi's face. You few are responsible for protecting the safety of the blue-silver Emperor, Yin, and must not let her suffer any harm. Yes, Master. Yes, Master. Yes, Master. Yes, Master. As these 9 armored black shadows merged into Yin's shadow, Fuyi finally felt a bit more at ease in his heart. If it weren't his woman, he wouldn't care so much, but Yin was already his person now, so he had to achieve perfection in terms of safety. He didn't plan on going back to Spirit Hall for now. After all, he had been missing for over half a year, and no one had made a sound. He was quite disappointed in that place, and of course, all the faults were Yu Xiaorogang's fault. He would go to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, but not now. As for the Clear Sky sect, Just like Yu Zairogang, we'll see what happens. However, what made him feel strange was why his senior sister Bibaidong's favorability towards him was getting more and more wrong. It was 75 before, reached 80 a day later, and now it had reached 89, closing in on the 90 mark. Fu Yi didn't understand, but he was greatly shocked. After all, he didn't have much contact with Bibaidong, and he couldn't fathom why. On the other side, Spirit Hall, Supreme Pontiff Palace, inside the interrogation room. Swish! Snap! Bibi Dong was currently holding a steel whip, her gaze like a poisonous snake. Her deep brown eyes stared at the several Spirit Hall department supervisors tied to the iron rack in front of her. At this moment, their bodies were covered in blood and gore, and even their flesh had been whipped to the point of turning inside out. Oh! Holy Maiden, spare us, Holy Maiden, spare us. I really don't know. This matter really has nothing to do with me. Holy Maiden, please show mercy. Bibi Dong turned a deaf ear to their screams and wails. From start to finish, she hadn't said a word. She wanted these ungrateful animals to confess the matter themselves. You can choose to continue playing the victim and howling, or you can come and tell me at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning exactly who bribed you to conceal the matter of Fu Yi's disappearance. Bibi Dong was incredibly smart. She could naturally see from the materials Kai Zunji gave her exactly who had imprisoned Fu Yi and killed him, but she did not have concrete evidence. After all, the other party's father was Yu Yuanzhen of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. Killing the other party was certainly simple, but the other party's sect would definitely not let it go. For this reason, she had to pry open the mouths of these scumbags. As for those other Spirit Hall personnel who took bribes, every single one of them would have to be buried with Fu Yi. Thinking this way in her heart, a cold sneer appeared at the corner of Bibaidong's mouth. Yu Zairogang, oh Yu Zairogang, you must never fall into my hands, otherwise, I will let you know what it feels like to struggle on the boundary between life and death. Bibi Dong slowly walked out of the interrogation room and said coldly to the two guards beside her. Every quarter of an hour, take turns splashing them with concentrated salt water and acid water. If I find out that you haven't done as I said, then you too can stay inside with them. Chapter 10 Moon Pavilion. The two guards keeping watch in the interrogation room broke out in a cold sweat instantly after hearing this. Splash concentrated salt water and acid, and take turns splashing every quarter of an hour. After Bibaidong left, the two guards walked into the interrogation room trembling. However, the scene inside made even these two, who were used to bloody scenes, feel a chill. The four people hanging from iron chains in front of them had no good flesh left on their bodies. Large chunks of flesh turned outward, making the two guards' expressions somewhat dazed. Brother, if we take turns splashing concentrated salt water and acid like this, won't they just die right here? Are you stupid? Whether they die or not is none of our business. As underlings, we just need to follow orders. Makes sense. Bibi Dong left the interrogation room and slowly walked to the small garden behind the Supreme Pontiff Palace to sit down. This was a place she often visited, and whenever she was unhappy, she liked to come here to relax. Leaning against the cold stone steps, Bibi Dong looked up at the starry sky. Recalling the past, warm tears couldn't help but flow from the corners of her eyes. She was thinking at this moment, if she weren't the holy maiden of the Spirit Hall, would she have been able to be with him logically? Would he not have been tortured to death by the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan? Tears blurred her eyes, but her gaze was filled with resentment toward the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, and resentment toward that murderer, Yu Zairogang. If she could, she really wanted to slice Yu Zairogang's flesh off knife by knife and flay him alive. You all must be buried with him, sob sob sob. However, Kai Zunji, hiding in the shadows, saw this scene. The dead cannot return to life. He only hoped that his disciple would be able to hold up the banner of their Spirit Hall in the future. Of course, the dead cannot return to life, but unfortunately for them, our protagonist, Fu Yi, was not dead at all. System, do you think I can dig up the Silver Dragon King, Gu Yuina, from underground during the Duai era? Ding, this is the world of Duai. The world of Duai does not contain people or objects that only appear in Duai or Duai. Therefore, even if the host overturned the Stardew Great Forest, the 10 great vicious beasts of the Duai era would not exist, and Gu Yuina of the Duai era would not exist either. Listening to the system's words, although Fu Yi felt it was strange, for him, whether the 10 great vicious beasts existed or not had nothing to do with him. First, go to Moon Pavilion and Wu Tanghao's sister. daring to cause trouble on my turf, then I won't be polite to you. Thinking this, Fuyi's figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. This yellow hair role, Fuyi was determined to play. Moon Pavilion was not very far from Fuyi's Juxiang Pavilion. A normal person could reach it in a quarter of an hour, while Fuyi was a bit faster. Accompanied by the rapid change of scenery, Fuyi arrived directly at a slightly quiet avenue, but the decoration here was exceptionally gorgeous. Fuyi looked at the golden characters on the red plaque in front of him, Moon Pavilion. To tell the truth, Fuyi had never interacted with the royal nobles here. In the past, he was busy cultivating every day, occasionally treating guests to dinner, drinking tea, and walking birds. However, he had seen Tang Yuehua a few times. Of course, it was only a glance from a distance. They did not know each other. Because Fuyi's appearance was truly too high, and his aura was definitely incomparable to ordinary people, the two guards in front of Moon Pavilion didn't even glance at Fuyi and let him in directly. To this, Fuyi expressed that being handsome and having a good temperament is truly popular everywhere. Stepping inside Moon Pavilion, the surrounding gilded walls gave a sense of elegance and luxury. The garden at the entrance was planted with some very beautiful purple flowers, and the light brown corridors were spotless. Looking at the flowing water on the rockery, Fuyi felt his heart calm down at this moment. Inside, there were some students who were unhurriedly heading to the classroom. Fuyi followed their route and arrived at a very spacious and bright classroom. "Brother, where are you from? Why haven't I seen you before?" "Damn, brother, isn't your appearance a bit too excessive?" "Little brother, can I be friends with you?" "Wow, brother, can I sit next to you?" Fuyi's appearance made the order at the scene a bit chaotic, but Fuyi ignored the words of these men and women. His goal was clear. He wanted to be a yellow hair and steal Tang Hao's sister away. He still remembered that in the original work, this sister's Tang Yuehua liked Tang Hao. Although he didn't know what the other party was thinking, he felt it necessary to bring her perspective to a normal person's level, and taboo romances or anything like that absolutely must not exist. Looking at the accessories on the table, this class seemed to be about practicing the zither. Fuyi simply opened the system mal directly. Item Perfection Level Zither Skills, Stock, 99,999. Take one at most at a time, free. Congratulations to the host for purchasing Perfection Level Zither Skills, ×1. Congratulations to the host for using Perfection Level Zither Skills. Your own zither skill level has reached perfection. Feeling the endless insights into zither skills pouring into his mind, Fuyi gently brushed his palm over the ancient zither and felt incredibly familiar, as if he had been immersed in the Tao of the zither for decades. "Kid, you just arrived. I don't know how your zither skills are. While Mentor Tang Yuehua hasn't arrived yet, why don't we have a competition?" Hearing this, Fuyi raised an eyebrow. Sure enough, the troublemaker had arrived. Fuyi had clearly felt 3, 5, 7, or 8 gazes filled with displeasure just now. "But you say you want to compete with me in zither skills. Then you have truly kicked a steel plate. I wonder how your excellency wishes to compete." Regarding others' provocations, Fuyi was not angry. After all, with his appearance and temperament, it would be strange if these young nobles weren't jealous. How about an original musical score? Victory or defeat will be judged by the students present. The other party seemed very confident. After hearing this, Fuyi was stunned for a moment, and then his gaze looked at the other party as if he were looking at an idiot. Original. Does he even need to create one himself? His mind was full of those musical scores from his past life. Taking out any one of them casually would be enough to shock them for a whole year. Seeing Fuyi's expression, he thought he was afraid. However, before the other party could mock him, Fuyi nodded directly. No problem. Fuyi had already decided what song to play. "Are you going first, or am I?" "No, kid, you're quite arrogant. I'll go first, and you just watch how I make you lose thoroughly." Broken already. I haven't done anything yet. Why are you so excited?" "This original song of mine is called Yearning, a song I spent a month thinking about." The young man's eyes, when looking at Fuyi, carried a bit of cruelty. He seemed to want to see the expression of panic on Fuyi's face. However, no, Fuyi couldn't even be bothered to glance at him, just silently looking at the ancient zither in front of him, as if thinking about something. "You." Look, he's anxious again, and he claims to be a disciple of Moon Pavilion. He can't even perfectly control his temper. One can only say that his coming here is a waste of resources. You play yours, I won't disturb you. Fu Yi's understated words made this jerk's blood pressure soar instantly. However, he still had some self-control otherwise. Fu Yi couldn't guarantee that the other party would be able to walk out of this door safely today. Dang dang, dang 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 dang. Dang dang, dang 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 dang. Chapter 11, Unexpected Employment at Moon Pavilion. Fu Yi came back to his senses upon hearing the other person's zither music. He realized this guy actually had some skill. The melody was decent, but it failed to make him feel the concept of the piece. As a great grandmaster who had mastered the ancient zither, Fu Yi felt it was necessary to give him some pointers. Forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. The piece was decent and the melody was passable, but it lacked emotion. Regarding this, Fu Yi thought, "Young man, you still need more practice." About 5 minutes later, the piece finally ended. The people around him cast envious gazes at him. After all, being able to compose a piece alone meant his zither skills far exceeded those of the others present. "How about it? Are you also conquered by my astonishing piece?" The young man in front of him was full of self-satisfaction, but Fu Yi shook his head helplessly. "The piece is not bad, but it lacks form and feeling. Before playing, you should calm your heart first." Fu Yi directly pointed out the problem with the other person. The guy was too impatient, to the point where many notes failed to express the concept they should have had. As a grandmaster who had achieved fusion with great perfection-level zither skills, Fu Yi had already decided which piece from his past life he would play. "You!" The other person was about to get angry again, but Fu Yi didn't give him much of a chance to speak. As Fu Yi's fingers danced over the ancient zither, a dense, murderous killing intent completely enveloped the entire classroom. That's right, what Fu Yi intended to play was one of the 10 great famous pieces of killing intent from his past life. Ambush from all sides. Terrifying murderous intent permeated the classroom. All the students dared not even breathe, letting the chill drift past them. The students who had originally prepared to watch Fu Yi make a fool of himself were now trembling and dared not move. As for Fu Yi, the killing intent the students spoke of was merely a wisp of energy escaping from his body during his impromptu performance. After all, he was a sword user, and he had purchased great perfection-level sword intent from the system, so it was normal for his killing intent to be a bit heavy, right? However, just as he was playing with gusto, a beautiful figure opened the door. The person who arrived was none other than the pavilion master of this place, the founder of the Moon Pavilion, Tang Yuehua. The incoming zither music, laden with killing intent, instantly enveloped Tang Yuehua's heart. Sensing this, her eyes snapped toward Fu Yi, who was playing the ancient zither. Fu Yi was playing with increasing enthusiasm. He hadn't really liked ancient zither music in the past, but now he found that the sound of the zither had a unique charm. The surrounding students also seemed to gradually sink into this concept, their trembling subsiding. Now they were mostly enjoying the piece. As someone who had been proficient in the zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting since childhood, Tang Yuehua could naturally feel that this piece was extraordinary. With her extremely high standards, she discovered that this so-called killing intent wouldn't actually harm her, so she boldly walked into the classroom, reached her central seat, and quietly listened to Fu Yi's performance. The piece Ambush from All Sides lasted about 5 minutes. When it ended, the surrounding students still hadn't recovered. They felt as if they were in the middle of a dark night, where all they could hear were the roars and the clashing sounds of 10,000 horses and clashing blades. Clap, clap, clap. Just then, applause came from the very front of the classroom. Fu Yi looked back and discovered that Tang Yuehua had arrived at some point without him noticing. She was 1.73 meters tall, dressed in a silver palace gown, with light blue hair elegantly tied behind her back. Her grey eyes held a touch of gentleness, and her exquisite, lovely face made anyone who saw her want to cherish her. "Your Excellency, this piece of yours is truly outstanding, and your zither skills have truly surprised Yuehua." Tang Yuehua stood up gently. She hadn't seen this person in the Moon Pavilion before. One had to know that even if nobles wanted to send disciples to her, they had to obtain her consent. And this handsome young man with an extraordinary temperament in front of her definitely hadn't entered through any conventional means. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Sister Yuehua. My name is Fu Yi. Please forgive me for coming uninvited and causing a disturbance." When he heard Tang Yuehua address him as Your Excellency, He knew this young lady had guessed that he hadn't entered the Moon Pavilion through any proper channels. Of course, to Fu Yi, it didn't matter. He was already in, and since he hadn't caused any trouble. What was wrong with auditing a class? To woo a girl, one had to be bold, meticulous, and thick-skinned. Nothing could be achieved overnight. With so much time, wouldn't feelings be built up after a few more interactions? Since you have come, you are a guest. Moreover, your zither skills are not below mine. With you here, I can also relax a bit. What did that mean? Fu Yi was full of confusion. With me here, you can relax. What kind of relaxation? Zyro Zhang, go and move your Fu Yi's ancient zither to the front. Today, he and I will instruct you all in zither arts together. Students below are Fu Yi, 6. The zither arts course lasted 2 hours in total, which was about the time of a whole morning. When it came to teaching, he was usually the one sleeping at the back, but now that he had been brought into the position of a teacher, he could only express that he wanted to sleep even more. However, with Tang Yuehua present, the most he could do was yawn a few times. He couldn't sleep, not with dozens of eyes watching from below. All right, our zither arts course for this morning has ended. This afternoon, Teacher Li will lead you all in practicing calligraphy and painting. Please make your preparations before class. Tang Yuehua was a stern person when instructing students, just like those teachers from his past life. Tilde. Fu Yi yawned. You have to know that he, a person who never felt sleepy, was as tired as a dog after teaching just one class today. It could only be said that he wasn't born for studying. Cheating was just more comfortable. Of course, you can be lazy, but you can't actually be unskilled. Fu Yi only felt the class was boring and wanted to sleep because he had obtained max-level zither skills from the system. If he didn't have the system, even if you let him sleep, he might not be able to. Fu Yi, come with me. I'll take you to the Moon Pavilion to handle your employment procedures. Tang Yuehua stood up, and Fu Yi slowly stood up as well. Employment? What employment? I don't get it. 3 minutes later. As Fu Yi followed Yuehua into an elegantly decorated office, Tang Yuehua pulled a piece of paper with text printed on it from a cabinet. Employment application form. What does this mean? You want me to work at the Moon Pavilion? Aren't you here to apply as a teacher at our Moon Pavilion? This time it was Tang Yuehua's turn to be confused. Not a student, and not here to be a teacher, so why come here? To crash the place? No, I am actually here to work. Chapter 12, Teacher Tang Yue, are you shy? So including us too, there are now 4 teachers at Moon Pavilion. Fu Yi was a bit surprised, and Tang Yuehua nodded after hearing his words. Yes, because there aren't many students. Although I am the founder here, I mainly focus on cultivating students' temperament, speech, and learning the Gyukin. The other 2 teachers handle calligraphy, painting, and chess. Fu Yi nodded. After all, she was only a rank 9 spirit master, and her energy was truly limited. What about me? Will I be your little follower, Teacher Tang Yue? Hearing Fu Yi's words, Tang Yuehua's lips curled slightly. You could say you're a little follower. It'll make things a bit easier for me. Tang Yuehua stretched languidly in the sunlight, her delicate cheeks filled with ease and contentment. By the way, I still don't know your rank and spirit. Would you mind telling me, little brother? Fu Yi's repeated use of little brother made Tang Yuehua feel quite pleased. Who could refuse a handsome, charming, and perfectly built younger man following her around and calling her little brother? One must know that Tang Yuehua was only a young woman in her early 20s, and her heart was still full of infinite hopes for a sweet romance. Me, I'm 18 this year, my spirit is a sword, and my spirit power is decent. Although Fu Yi's answer to Tang Yuehua's question was somewhat ambiguous, he wasn't lying. After all, with his strength, taking on the entire continent would still be decent. You're only 18 this year. Hearing Fu Yi's words, Tang Yuehua felt it was somewhat unbelievable. After all, in her eyes, Fu Yi's age should be around 20. Yes, I'm still half a year away from turning 18. Fu Yi was also helpless, but his high spirit power meant that his actual age was much younger than he appeared. But how old are you, Teacher Tang Yue? I feel like you're about the same age as me. Is it impolite to ask a girl's age? Sorry, he didn't believe in that. Tang Yuehua, who had just laid down on the sofa, rolled her eyes at him after hearing Fu Yi's words. Who would ask a girl's age so directly? Seeing her roll her eyes, Fuyi smiled nonchalantly, then sat directly beside her. Before she could react, he grabbed her small hand and intertwined his 5 fingers firmly with hers. He gently raised their clasped hands and placed them in front of her. Teacher Tang Yue's hands are so beautiful, just like mine. I bet Teacher Tang Yue is only 18 this year, right? Fuyi's series of actions were smooth and fluid, leaving Tang Yuehua no chance to react. His sweet talk was like honey. Although his actions were indeed a bit presumptuous, Tang Yuehua had already developed some good feelings for Fuyi. He looked at the display on his system. Tang Yuehua, favorability 55%, we are good friends. It should be noted that without any favorability, Tang Yuehua would not have actively invited Fuyi to join their moon pavilion. Was his perfect appearance and temperament just a joke? Before Tang Yuehua could speak, Fuyi released her hand, spreading her palm open in front of them. Teacher Tang Yue, do you know? This line is your career line, soaring straight from low to high, rising rapidly, just like how you founded the Moon Pavilion, this aristocratic etiquette school. Although Fuyi didn't understand a girl's heart, he knew how to find topics of conversation. Tang Yuehua was 1.73 meters tall, and he was 1.85 meters tall. In his eyes, Tang Yuehua was like a little sister. Oh, what's this line? It's so long. That's Teacher Tang Yue's lifeline, meaning you can live to be 100. While chatting with Tang Yuehua, Fuyi subtly placed his right hand on her shoulder without her noticing. When it came to pursuing girls, he focused on timing. If you don't close the distance, how can you pursue them? By force, by throwing money, that would be too low class. The two chatted for a long time, and they clicked very well. Fuyi told many interesting stories, and Tang Yuehua also confided her inner pain to Fuyi. Unconsciously, Fuyi held Tang Yuehua and chatted for an hour. During this time, they didn't have excessive intimacy. One must know that love itself is a feeling, and to truly win a girl over, the sense of distance must be controlled perfectly. Fuyi casually rested his head on Tang Yuehua's shoulder, making her cheeks flush red. But Fuyi didn't do anything inappropriate, while he relentlessly tested the boundaries with things that weren't over the line. A little pinch on the cheek, 2 whispered words in her ear, these small gestures quickly warmed their feelings. Of course, if one were ugly, fat, and balding, Fuyi would suggest simply throwing money. After all, he dared to do this mainly because his appearance and temperament were maximized by the system. If any other student who was only good at playing the zither dared to act so playfully with Tang Yuehua, you'd see if the spears and clubs in the guard's hands were hard or not. Even if Tang Yuehua's spirit power was poor, she was still a guest elder of the Heaven Du Empire and a direct disciple of the world's #1 sect. Looking at the setting sun, Fuyi felt it was time to go back, but before that, he still had to tease this little teacher, Tang Yuehua. Fuyi, what exactly is your strength? Tang Yuehua's cheeks were flushed. She had never felt such a strange sensation towards a boy. Unconsciously, he had been holding her and chatting for so long. Teacher Tang Yue, it's also very impolite to ask a gentleman's spirit power rank. Hearing Fuyi's words, Tang Yuehua turned her little face to the left, as if she was angry and didn't want to talk to him. But who was Fuyi? He had already held her in his arms, so how could he not look at her? His left hand, which was holding her shoulder, pinched her little chin and directly turned her flushed face towards him. As she saw Fuyi's face slowly approaching, her heart pounded. It seemed as if 2 little figures, one white and one black, were fighting in her mind. White figure, no, you're 7 or 8 years older than him. This isn't right. Black figure, why not? What if he's 8 years younger? There can be sweet romance between siblings too. White figure, but... Black figure, but what but? I want a sweet romance. You white one, why are you pretending to be pure? Go close the main door from the outside. Tang Yuehua's pretty face was flushed, and her eyes were tightly shut. Her cheeks were extremely red. Having received strict education from her family since childhood, she didn't know what it felt like to like someone. The only person she admired was her older brother, Tang Hao, who at a young age was already the strongest among his peers in the sect. She had never paid much attention to other male disciples of the sect. After establishing the Moon Pavilion, she was even stricter with herself. Although she wished for someone to rely on, she had never met anyone she liked. Teacher Tang Yue, why are you closing your eyes? I've already helped you remove the hair from your cheeks. Tang Yuehua, favorability 69%. Chapter 13. It was all Yu Zirogang's doing. Eventually, Fuyi was dragged out of Moon Pavilion by his ear by Tang Yuehua, and this scene was witnessed exactly by the students who had come for class. Wow, big brother Fuyi and teacher Tang Yuehua have such a good relationship. Teacher Tang Yuehua is blushing. Could it be that she has fallen for big brother Fuyi? Brother, you're really fierce, even daring to hit on teacher Tang Yuehua. My father died young. If big brother Fuyi doesn't mind, I am willing to. Woo woo woo. Big brother, watch your words. Our father is only 30 years old this year. Fuyi, having been thrown outside, looked at Tang Yuehua's angry little expression and felt she was truly quite cute. However, no matter how cute she was, he couldn't eat her now. Having been teased until he was full of fire, he would go back and have a deep exchange of feelings with that little fool Yin tonight. As for when he would come to Moon Pavilion next, he had already agreed with Tang Yuehua, the day after tomorrow in the afternoon. After all, these students had a lot to learn, and the training regarding temperament still had to be taught by Tang Yuehua herself. He only needed to come over to help lighten her burden when she taught the Gyukin. But then again, the benefits at Moon Pavilion were truly good. Even for him, who was just a follower here, Tang Yuehua offered him a salary of 500 gold coins a month. Of course, this was indeed an astronomical sum for ordinary people, but for Fuyi, who had infinite money, he wanted to exchange feelings with Tang Yuehua more than he cared about the money. Anyway, that jerk Tang Hao wouldn't come here. When the time was right, he would take Tang Yuehua back to the Clear Sky sect to meet those old fogies, and then beat him up thoroughly. As for Tang San's mother, Fuyi had already started looking for candidates for him. Anyway, his system mal-sold basically everything, whether serious or not. Small trends can be changed, but the big trend cannot. As long as Tang Hao was still alive, Tang San would be his son, and he would definitely find a wife at the appropriate time to give birth to Tang San. Fuyi initially thought about pairing Chrysanthemum Douluo and Tang Hao together, but later thought it was too twisted, so this abstract plan was dropped. After all, with the first spirit being the immortal herb silk chrysanthemum, and the second spirit being the clear sky hammer, if such a strong combination were really matched for Tang San, wouldn't he play it to perfection? You have to know, Chrysanthemum Douluo's ultimate move was the same as Tang San's Buddha's fury, Tang Lotus. Yue Guan, Chrysanthemum turns to ruin, full ground of wounds, flowers fall and people break their hearts. Tang San, eat this, Buddha's fury Tang Lotus Pro Max. Oh my, the imagery immediately came to mind. Returning to Juxiang Pavilion, Yin had already woken up and was sitting on the balcony sofa, photosynthesizing. For Yin, sunbathing was naturally a relaxing thing. At 9 in the evening, Fuyi held Yin and lay on the open-air sofa to admire the moon. It wasn't the Mid-Autumn Festival tonight, but the moon was exceptionally round. Just at this moment, a figure dressed in white appeared beside Fuyi and bowed towards him. Many thanks, brother. Brother, no need for formalities. I might not be at Juxiang Pavilion for a while in the future. Please look after it for me. Fuyi was full of comfort. He naturally knew who the person was. Chen Xin, who had been in an epiphany for 2 whole days, had finally woken up. Please rest assured, brother. If Juxiang Pavilion is in trouble, Chen Xin will definitely be the first to strike. I must thank you for the trouble. Chen Xin nodded and then left. Seeing this, Fuyi directly picked up Yin. In her still somewhat dazed eyes, a smile appeared on the corner of Fuyi's mouth, and he whispered in her ear. Madam, tilde. Dragons are lustful by nature, not to mention that Fuyi possessed the dragon god martial soul and the pure dragon god bloodline. Although the dragon god of the Douluo Continent could only be considered a mixed-blood dragon, here it was the ancestor of all spirit beasts, the strongest spirit beast, none other. On the other side, there were still 4 people in the interrogation room today, but 2 were new. As for the first 2, they hadn't held out and had died in the last bowl of concentrated salt water before dawn. Bibi Dong's eyes were colder than the previous 2 days. The 2 new managers from Spirit Hall had panic written all over their faces, but Bibi Dong wouldn't pay attention to their hypocritical faces. Eating the food provided by Spirit Hall, yet turning around to collude with the enemy and harm their own people. Bibi Dong had already sentenced them to death after finding out about these people. Revealing the mastermind would allow them a quick death. Hiding it would result in being whipped with iron whips, and after the flesh was rotten, they would be washed with salt water and acid water. Those who didn't survive were lucky. Those who did survive and still wouldn't talk the next day would have their flesh sliced with small knives, and the cut pieces would be fed to dogs in front of them. She wanted to see just how tough these people's mouths could be. Swish! Smack! A whip directly tore a gruesome bloody wound into the flesh of a fat, greasy spirit hall junior manager. Arse, ow! The immense pain caused cold sweat to stream down the fatty's forehead. Swish! Bang! This strike hit his knee directly, shattering the entire knee. This was enough to show how immense Bibaidong's strength was. Arse, I'll talk, holy maiden, I'll talk. It was clear this was a soft persimmon. Bibaidong had only whipped him twice before he confessed. Hearing the other party's words, Bibaidong just nodded without asking, instead walking towards the other person with the steel whip, and without a word, broke the other person's shoulder with a whip. Swish! Crack! Arse, I'll talk, I. However, hearing the other party's words this time, Bibaidong still didn't stop, and another whip struck the other person's waist. Swish! Smack! One whip left the skin split and flesh gaping. Then she came to the front of the fatty again. By now, the fatty had been scared into incontinence, but Bibaidong only frowned slightly. Then another whip struck his right shoulder directly. Crack! Ah, holy maiden, spare me. It was all you, Zyrogang. It was all you, Zyrogang. I am guilty, I am guilty. I took black money, but my crime is not punishable by death, holy maiden. Finally, Bibaidong heard the answer she wanted, and then she turned her gaze to the other person, continuing to whip them with the iron whip without saying a word. Swish! Holy maiden, I are. It was you, Zyrogang. It was you, Zyrogang. He bribed me with money and threatened me, saying if I told anyone about this, I would be dead. It was him, it was him. Looking at the two broken-limbed spirit hall junior managers in front of her, a brilliant smile hung on Bibaidong's face. Then she turned her gaze to the guards behind her who were controlling 5 or 6 10-year level spirit dogs, as well as the spirit ancestor responsible for healing on the side. These two turncoats who survived last night are useless now. Every quarter of an hour, cut off a limb and feed it to the dogs. Let these two guys who came later see what kind of end awaits those who betray Spirit Hall. Looking at the brilliant smile on Bibaidong's face, everyone present felt a chill rise in their backs. They knew Zyrogang was finished. Pushing open the big door, 2 tall and thin figures were greeted. Uncle Ghost, help me invite that trash Zyrogang over. I have some things I want to have a good chat with him about. Chapter 14, Zyrogang gets beaten up madly. The sun was already high when Fu Yi slowly crawled out of bed. Perhaps due to the fusion of the dragon god bloodline, he felt full of vigor every morning now. After battling fiercely with Yin all night, she couldn't take it anymore and Fu Yi had to stop. After all, she was his wife, and he couldn't just mess around like an animal. But this only strengthened his resolve to find more wives. Given his needs, it was tough. Look at Yin, she hadn't even fully recovered yesterday, and today she had to recover again. However, this wasn't something to rush. He could just bear with it. After all, nothing was more important than his wife's health. He thought about it. There weren't many beautiful and talented girls in this era. Yin, Bibaidong, and Liu Erlong, just those 3. Tang Yuehua's talent wasn't great, but she was Tang San's aunt, and in the future, he would make Tang San call him uncle-in-law. But suddenly, he had a bold idea. Arthur, so bold. But for his modern soul, this kind of thing didn't seem too bold. Someone had to do it. As the saying goes, the first to get rich leads the others to get rich. Only by setting an example would later generations know to imitate it. So, for the sake of truth, he had to sacrifice his small self to achieve the greater good. I, Fu Yi, am carrying on the legacy of Wei Wu in the Douluo world. You have to know, ordinary girls couldn't handle his physique. He was much more ferocious now than Tang Wulin was during the Douluo Roman III era. Fortunately, the system had a hidden feature, locking dependents to prevent pregnancy. Otherwise, Yin might have already been pregnant by now. Of course, there would be children in the future, but he hadn't had enough fun yet. Children would only be a burden to him. Looking at Yin, who was still fast asleep under the covers, Fu Yi couldn't resist giving her little face another aggressive peck. Yi, be gentle. Yin loves you the most. Ahem, don't look, don't look. After settling Yin down, Fuyi headed to his next target area, the Stardew Great Forest. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. The Stardew Great Forest was a good place, especially the Stardew Great Forest during the Douluo era, which was the peak period for spirit beasts. Here, even the outer perimeter was a gathering place for some thousand-year spirit beasts, not to mention the mixed zone, the inner perimeter, and even the core zone. Fuyi's eyes, these 10,000-year spirit beasts were nothing. He came here for, can't say. As for Spirit Hall, Fuyi didn't want to settle scores with Yuzairogang right now. After all, he was already invincible in this world, and he had long known that Kaian Zunji was annoyed with Yuzairogang. And Bibai Dong was the favorability rating a bit off. It only increased by 1 or 2 points a day. He knew that he had only gained that much after chatting with Tang Yuesuer all afternoon. Canada Cantoin. Women were truly creatures that were hard to fathom. He was definitely going to save Bibai Dong. After all, although his appearance had disrupted the world's will, there were still 3 or 4 years left before that event happened. No one could say for sure what would happen during this time. He wondered what his cute senior was doing now. She probably wasn't thinking about a dead man like him, right? Fuyi smiled calmly. Although he didn't know what Bibai Dong was thinking, the system's favorability panel wouldn't lie. Ever since he died, Bibai Dong's favorability hadn't stopped. It had been rising continuously. But it was useless to think about this now. It would be better to take a stroll in the core zone of the Stardew Great Forest to see if there were any gains. Thinking this, he flashed and disappeared from the spot. Meanwhile, on the other side, Spirit City, Supreme Pontiff Palace, still that familiar interrogation room. Swish, smack, awuo ah. Swish, smack, awuo ah. Swish, smack, awuo ah. Whip after whip, it actually had a nice rhythm. Of course, that was the true thought of the 2 cowards watching the show on the side. Bibai Dong, you devils, you are a demon. The roar came from the man being whipped by the iron lash. Bibai Dong didn't speak, just a faint smile on her face, and then swish, smack, awuo ah. Repeating again and again, whip after whip landing on his body. That's right, this person being beaten so miserably was our Grandmaster, the young lord of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan, the future teacher of gods, Yuzairogang himself. But looking at him now, it looked so painful. Swish and crack. Bibai Dongs, you devil, I am from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan. Swish and crack. Stop, quick. Swish and smack. Bibi Dong looked at the 5 healing element spirit ancestors beside her, a smug smile in her eyes. You guys take turns healing him, don't let it stop. If he really dies here, don't blame me for putting the blame on you. At this moment, the 5 healing element spirit ancestors stood 5 meters away from Bibai Dong, trembling. They couldn't bear to watch the person in front of them being whipped until his skin was torn, only to be forcibly healed back, and then whipped until his skin was torn again by the Holy Maiden. You have to know, the Holy Maiden had been whipping him for a whole hour, without saying a word, just whipping this person in front of her with all her might. Sister Holy Maiden, she. Shut up, the Holy Maiden must have her reasons for doing this. Little sister, eldest sister is right, we have been cultivating in our dormitory all day today. Second sister is right, we have been in the dormitory all day today, we don't know anything. Yuzairogang's body was covered in traces left by the steel whip. The healing element spirit masters could only help him heal his wounds. Scars would definitely be left behind. Looking at Yuzairogang still wailing in front of her, Bibai Dong wondered if she had gone too easy on him, letting him still have so much energy. As soon as this thought appeared, Bibai Dong couldn't sit still. It seemed she had been too gentle. Recalling how her Fuyi had been tortured by this Yuzairogang for more than half a year, a cold sneer appeared on Bibai Dong's lips. You guys come here at 9 every morning and leave after 9 in the evening. Your cultivation resources will be doubled. Understand? Looking at the 5 people still busy keeping Yuzairogang alive, Bibai Dong said softly. Yes, understood. Hearing this unified response, Bibai Dong nodded with satisfaction. Swish and smack. Awuo Bibai Dong, you will regret this. Swish and smack. Awuo Ars, I am Blue Lightning, ah. Swish and smack. Awuo I ams, ah. Chapter 15, A Giant Rabbit, Zyro Wu Brand Extra Large Body Pillow. I will repeat this here. As mentioned before, characters from Douluo II and III will not appear during the Douluo I era. In other words, even if the protagonist were to turn the Stardew Great Forest upside down right now, the 10 great beasts of the Douluo II era and Guyuina from the Douluo III era would not exist. Inner area of the Stardew Great Forest. Fuyi was currently walking leisurely through the Stardew Great Forest. The surrounding 1,000-year and 10,000-year spirit beasts subconsciously avoided him after sensing the aura within his body, so his journey was very smooth. The forest was vast, but Fuyi's pace was not slow. After all, this was his first time venturing so deep into the Stardew Great Forest, and he should properly take in the local customs and beast scenery. The faint dragon aura wafting from his body, combined with the aura of a level 99 titled Douluo, caused all those spirit beasts to vanish into thin air within a 500-meter radius. As he walked further inside, Fuyi suddenly sensed intense energy fluctuations. It seemed quite fierce. Interesting, 2,100,000-year spirit beasts are fighting. This powerful spirit power fluctuation definitely could not be emitted by an ordinary spirit beast. However, in the current Stardew Great Forest, besides the Titan Giant Ape and the Sky Azure Bull Python, there was only Zyro Wu, that 90,000-year level rabbit. Let's go take a look and see if there's anything to be gained. When it came to watching the excitement, Fuyi stated that he was the best at it. The next moment, his figure disappeared from where he stood, and the spirit beasts hidden in the shadows, sensing Fuyi's departure, all returned to their own territories. Spirit Beast A, he's for real, I'm crying to death. Spirit Beast B, I'm for real, I thought I was done for. Spirit Beast C, that's not right, aren't you guys the most hostile towards humans? Spirit Beast D, E, F, G, F. The air in the mixed zone of the Stardew Great Forest was very fresh. The trees here were far thicker than those in the Amazon rainforest on Blue Star. Each large tree was nearly as thick as two people could embrace together. Boom! Snap! The sound of giant objects hitting the ground, and the teeth-grinding sound of bones breaking, reached Fuyi's ears at this moment. He saw two monstrous giants teaming up to gang up on a tiger that was pitch black all over and emitting a purplish-black light. Those two big dummies were naturally the Titan Giant Ape and the Sky Azure Bull Python. As for that little black tiger, the dark demonic evil god tiger, I didn't expect it to actually clash with that pair of brothers in misfortune, the Titan Giant Ape and the Sky Azure Bull Python. Fuyi sat on the mountain watching the tigers fight. This immersive spectacle of a giant monkey and a giant snake battling the dark demonic evil god tiger had image quality far better than the anime from his previous life. However, just watching a movie without eating or drinking anything wasn't Fuyi's style. Congratulations to the host for purchasing roast chicken, 100-year spirit beast, overalls basketball chicken ×1. Congratulations to the host for purchasing 10,000-year spirit, wine ×1. This is flavorful, he liked it. Consequently, the two big dummies were being led in circles by the dark demonic evil god tiger, while Fuyi was over here leisurely sipping his wine and eating his roast chicken. However, right at this moment, the Titan Giant Ape on the battlefield sensed something unusual. Big brother, why do I smell wine? Smack! The Sky Azure Bull Python lashed its tail directly onto its head. Eat, 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 all you know is how to eat. Hurry up and drive this beast away, otherwise Mother Wu and Zyro Wu will be in danger later. The Sky Azure Bull Python was frustrated that his second brother couldn't live up to expectations. Why did he only think about eating every day? It seemed he really needed to properly educate him over the next few years. Got it, big brother, the Titan Giant Ape felt aggrieved. The Titan Giant Ape didn't say it, but it really did smell wine, and there was also the scent of delicious roast meat. Smack! However, before it could even recover, the Sky Azure Bull Python lashed its tail onto it again. What are you standing there for? Go! Oh. Watching the Sky Azure Bull Python beat the Titan Giant Ape like it was educating a child, Fuyi felt a sense of comedy. He was very curious why he didn't see Zyro Wu. He clearly remembered that the female lady of this Douluo Continent loved excitement the most. But he quickly found the answer to this question. A giant white rabbit with a tuft of pink fur on its head was actually launching a sneak attack, while the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python were fighting intensely. A sneak attack on him, this 18-year-old comrade. What to do after being sneak attacked by a giant rabbit? Isn't that just perfect? He was currently in need of a cushion and a body pillow. 2.5 minutes later. Behave and don't move, or else I'll roast you for dinner. This rabbit that was as tall as 2 people, Zyro Wu before transforming, was no longer as rowdy as she had been at the beginning. Now, she didn't dare to move at all, obediently offering her snow-white belly for Fu Yi to use as a cushion. Her 2 furry giant paws were draped over Fu Yi's shoulders. Surely no one could refuse such a giant plush toy. Gulps gulp. After taking another sip of the 10,000-year spirit wine, Fu Yi felt much more comfortable. Back when he was on Blue Star, he had wanted to buy a plush toy this big to use as a cushion, and now that he was in the Douluo Continent, he had finally realized this wish. Nom nom. The fragrant roast chicken, the alluring fine wine, and the battle between the 3 giant beasts in front of him. Fu Yi knew he hadn't come for nothing this trip. Gulps gurgle. What was that sound? Did this cushion have a hidden massage function? Why was it vibrating? At this moment, the giant rabbit, Zyro Wu before transforming, thought, so hungry, this person's roast chicken and drink smell so good. Fu Yi didn't pay much attention, just eating while looking at the good items in the mall. Item low-level slave mark, price, 0. Item intermediate slave mark, price, 0. Item high-level slave mark, price, 0. Item super slave mark, price, 0. I didn't expect the super slave mark to actually be able to enslave spirit beasts between 100,000 and 1 million years old. This thing seems pretty good. Fu Yi looked at the dazzling array of goods in front of him, feeling extremely satisfied. He just loved this feeling of free $0 shopping. Currently, this dark demonic evil god tiger should only be around 40,000 to 50,000 years old. Fu Yi felt that taking it as a mount or something would be quite decent. As for the pearl inside its body, the 99,999 plus inventory in the system told him there was really no need to slaughter this beast. This cheat device was really great. Compared to those systems that required doing tasks and making choices, he still felt that the feeling of getting something for nothing was more gratifying. A mischievous smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It was hard to imagine what the protagonist of Heavenly Jewel Change would rely on to make a comeback if he took this tiger as his mount. Tusk, but that didn't matter. What did it have to do with him? Turning his gaze to the sky azure bull python and the Titan giant ape who were battling the dark demonic evil god tiger, a golden talisman had already appeared in his hand. He wouldn't use this kind of thing on the Titan giant ape, the sky azure bull python, or Zyro Wu. After all, doing that would be pointless. He still preferred to beat the 2 brothers, the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python, until they were convinced. As for Zyro Wu, no need. This little rabbit just liked to be rowdy, but in reality she wasn't that bold. Look, wasn't she now tamed by him and willing to act as a sofa here? Chapter 16, Subduing the Dark Demonic Evil God Tiger. Although the dark demonic evil god tiger possessed the 6 major attributes of wind, thunder, evil, darkness, time and space, it was still no match for the 100,000-year level Titan giant ape and sky azure bull python. Even its rule-based attribute, the arena of life and death, was nothing more than child's play to those 2 brothers. One must know that this move was indeed a divine skill against humans, capable of regressing a human's age to 6 years old, the minimum age, which was precisely when a human had just completed their spirit awakening. However, using this move against spirit beasts, with cultivation years far higher than its own, was not a pleasant experience. It was essentially equivalent to subtracting its own spirit ring age from the opponent's. If the opponent turned from 100,000 years to 40,000, it would be reduced to 0. Of course, it could also use its 1,000-year age to fight the 50,000-year Titan giant ape, or the 80 to 90,000-year sky azure bull python. That was no different from suicide. After all, any beast capable of becoming a 100,000-year spirit beast possessed royal bloodline within its body. Even if their age was below 100,000 years, it was still not something it could handle. The reason it had come here was that it had recently discovered a spirit emperor in the forest and wanted to hunt it down to nourish its own bloodline. But who could have imagined that before it even made a move, it would be discovered and hunted by these 200,000-year beast kings. You two beasts, that's enough. Stop pestering this king endlessly. The dark, demonic, evil god tiger was finally driven to desperation. It was the noble, dark, demonic, evil god tiger, a white tiger that had undergone fusion with the evil god bloodline. How dare this monkey and this long worm chase and beat it for so long? Dark, demonic, evil god's thunder. As the dark, demonic, evil god tiger spoke in human language, despite its 50,000-year spirit beast body, both the sky azure bull python and the titan giant ape were stunned. Wait, you can already speak at 50,000 years. On what grounds? Boom! Black lightning erupted from its mouth. The sky azure bull python was not one to indulge the opponent. It was just lightning, right? I can do that too. Sky azure annihilation, divine thunder. Such a highly intelligent creature. If it wasn't killed today, it would be a source of endless trouble in the future. At this moment, the titan giant ape erupted with a golden radiance, directly tanking the falling dark lightning, while the dark, demonic, evil god tiger used its spatial attribute to dodge the sky azure bull python's lightning at the very last second. Evil wind blade. Seeing the motley furred monkey and the water loach in front of it preparing to unleash another ultimate move, the dark, demonic, evil god tiger, adhering to the principle of running away if it couldn't win, turned to leave this place, intending to return and devour them after it had cultivated to 80,000 years in the future. Damn it, Titan Divine Fist. The Titan giant ape was truly worthy of being a beast king. This punch actually caused the surrounding space to distort. Evil God Protection. A dense black aura instantly erupted from the dark, demonic, evil god tiger's body. The next moment, this power instantly enveloped its entire body, and the pitch-black energy completely neutralized the Titan giant ape's attack. Heh, you two just keep an eye on those two rabbits. This seat will be coming here to stroll around from time to time. A spirit emperor and a 90,000-year level soft bones rabbit, these were both delicious blood food. As long as it could devour them, even the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python would die by its hands. In the end, they would all be devoured one by one, allowing it to become even stronger. Thinking of this, a sneer and mockery appeared in its deep, dark eyes. However, just as it was using its final strength to tear open space and prepare to escape, Fu Yi, that sneaky old fox, made his move. A terrifying force instantly sealed every part of its body. Even though the spatial rift it had created was right before its eyes, it couldn't move an inch. The black fur on its body bristled instantly at that moment, not out of anger, but out of fear and terror. At this moment, Fu Yi slowly stood up. The white fur of the big white rabbit, Zyro Wu, who was acting as his cushion, also stood on end, frightened by the aura radiating from Fu Yi. However, the fluffy and soft sensation made lying on it even more comfortable. He stood up slowly, looking at the three spirit beasts in front of him that were completely immobilized by his aura. His figure moved like lightning, arriving directly in front of the dark, demonic, evil god tiger. Become my slave and I will let you live. How about it? These short 11 words from Fu Yi had directly determined the future of the dark, demonic, evil god tiger. Although he called it a slave, it was essentially just being a little pet and a lackey by his side. After all, he couldn't always do everything himself. As a limit Douluo, if he didn't even have a lackey by his side, he was afraid others would laugh at him if word got out. This fate. Boom! Before the dark, demonic, evil god tiger could even finish speaking, Fu Yi punched it directly in the face, forcefully embedding its head into the ground. This scene made the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python feel a chill run down their spines. Where on earth did this human come from? Isn't his aura a bit too terrifying? Fu Yi slowly descended to the side of the dark, demonic, evil god tiger. At this moment, its large tiger face had already been beaten into a swollen lump. Boom! Another punch landed with the same force as before, only this time Fu Yi hit its right cheek. The sky azure bull python and the Titan giant ape, those two fellows, actually closed their large eyes in unison at this moment. However, they were still muttering in their hearts, will we get beaten up later too? Human you. Boom! Finally, after 2.5 minutes, the dark, demonic, evil god tiger knelt in front of Fu Yi as if its father had died, weeping and wailing on the ground, calling him master while admitting it was wrong. Master, master, please don't hit me anymore, don't hit me, this little one knows it was wrong, really. However, Fuyi wasn't buying it. You have to understand, usually, a spirit beast would be obedient after he trained it for 2.5 seconds, but this one actually made him train it for 2.5 minutes. I don't keep disobedient dogs. I might as well kill you and use the bead inside your body as a marble to play with. At this moment, a magnificent 9-colored dragon claw condensed on Fuyi's right hand. That's right, just like Tang Wulin during the Douluo III era, he also possessed the complete dragon god bloodline and could mobilize the power of his bloodline to cover his entire body in the dragon scales belonging to the dragon god. However, this was something the system helped him perfectly fuse, so he could perfectly control his own dragon transformation. When the dragon claw appeared, all the spirit beasts present felt like they were sitting on pins and needles. They all seemed to be able to feel the terrifying suppressive power radiating from Fuyi at this moment. Don't kill this little one. This little one is really useful. This little one can be a beast of burden for you, can serve you tea and water. Even if you make this little one climb a mountain of blades or descend into a sea of oil, this little one will not refuse. The dark, demonic, evil god tiger was afraid. It was truly afraid. As a being possessing the evil god bloodline, it was actually able to feel such terrifying suppressive power from the opponent's bloodline. A mere human could absolutely not possess such a bloodline. The opponent must be a vicious beast that had long ago taken human form and successfully cultivated to the pinnacle of humanity. Of course, Fuyi didn't know what this little tiger was thinking, and even if he did, he would probably just smile helplessly. After all his strength had been obtained bit by cheating. If it weren't for the fact that the spirit limit was only 2 and couldn't be changed, Fuyi reckoned he would have bought all the spirits in the store and fused them into his own body. He was all about being steady and not wasting anything. Chapter 17, First Entry into the Lake of Life. Thump. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. The dark, demonic, evil god tiger, in order to save its life, had completely abandoned its dignity and was kneeling on the ground, kowtowing to Fuyi to beg for forgiveness. The humanoid creature, before it was simply too bizarre, the dark, demonic, evil god tiger dared not use the life and death arena to gamble its life against him. Have you thought it through? Fuyi watched the black tiger kowtowing and admitting its mistake before him, a playful smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. Master, this little one was blind and failed to recognize Mount Tai, blind to the truth. From now on, I am your most loyal servant. Whatever orders you have, just name them. Fuyi didn't believe for a second that this guy could be that loyal. However, he had the system. As long as he fed it the talisman, it would become his most loyal servant. Since that's the case, if you're going to follow me, you need to give up a few things. Do you have any objections? Fuyi was quite humane. After all, since it had come to him, what needed to be cut had to be cut. He had to inform this guy, as he wanted to grant it the right to a good death. No problem, absolutely no problem, you just... After hearing his words, a flash of colorful light streaked by, and the dark, demonic, evil god tiger had finally been castrated. Seeing blood seeping from the lower body of the dark, demonic, evil god tiger, the Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python displayed expressions of terror in a very human-like manner. Fuyi didn't care about all that. Those who could stay by his side were either girls or eunuchs. He was just that overbearing. He took that golden talisman, clamped it with a super recovery medicinal pill, and stuffed it into the mouth of the dark, demonic, evil god tiger. The creature's injuries healed instantly, though what was lost could not grow back. After all, the effect of the healing pill was to cure wounds, not to bring the dead back to life or regrow flesh and bone. The eyes of the dark, demonic, evil god tiger became like those of De Huang, the dog raised at home on Blue Star, revealing a clear, pure stupidity. Of course, its intelligence and combat power remained, but now it would obey Fuyi's commands 100%. Master! The next moment, the dark, demonic, evil god tiger rolled over to expose its belly and began acting spoiled in front of Fuyi. The Titan giant ape and the sky azure bull python standing to the side felt a chill run down their spines. However, after the dark, demonic, evil god tiger rolled over, they discovered that the guy's thing had really been cut off just like that. This discovery made both of these spirit beast dominators feel a chill in their own crotches. You two, are you the ones in charge here? After casually kicking the dark, demonic, evil god tiger twice, Fuyi turned his gaze toward the Titan giant ape and the Sky Azure bull python, who were standing beside him, unable to move. Yes, we do not know what business brings you here. Look at that, just look at that, what you call polite, what you call sensible. When this Sky Azure bull python spoke, it clearly had class, it spoke quite well. Fuyi thought to himself, kid, you have a future. Nothing much, just wandering around, and by the way, coming to see the local customs and beast life of the Stardew Great Forest. After saying this, he pointed his finger at the big white rabbit, Zyro Wu, who was still lying on the ground not far away. Just now, this little rabbit tried to ambush me, so I want her to take me to tour your core area. This request shouldn't be a problem, right? Although it was a question, Fuyi used an unquestionable tone. Zyro Wu. Deming was covered in black lines at this moment. Hadn't he told Zyro Wu to take mother and hide well in the core area? How did she end up running out? Darming Ming I. Her ruby-like eyes flickered under the gaze of the two great beast kings. The big white rabbit rubbed her two paws together, seemingly trying to ease the awkwardness. Zyro Wu, just take this senior over to our side for a stroll. The Sky Azure bull python felt helpless. The strength of the person in front of them was simply too terrifying. Didn't they see the 50,000-year-old dark demonic evil god tiger beaten into kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy? Fortunately, this big shot didn't have any ill intent toward them, otherwise they would really be done for. Got it, I'm sorry, Ming. A clear, bright female voice came from the rabbit's mouth. Fuyi could tell it was the voice of a little girl. Fuyi withdrew his pressure, allowing the three spirit beasts to regain their ability to move. Then the big white rabbit Zyro Wu leaped and arrived directly in front of Fuyi. This scene gave the Titan giant ape and the Sky Azure bull python a start. However, fortunately, the big white rabbit Zyro Wu had simply come to Fuyi's side and crouched down very obediently. Fuyi didn't stand on ceremony either. He mounted the back of the big white rabbit and then grabbed her two ears. Whining, you can't grab my ears. Zyro Wu's speed was very fast, even faster than the Titan giant ape and the Sky Azure bull python. Holding onto her fur, Fuyi rampaged through the forest as if riding a roller coaster. As for the dark demonic evil god tiger, which had become a slave, it followed not far behind Zyro Wu. 2.5 minutes passed. Zyro Wu brought Fuyi to the true core area of the Stardew Great Forest, the place where they lived. The most core area of the Stardew Great Forest, the Lake of Life. Upon arriving at this place, Fuyi felt that the surrounding spirit power had become much denser. Mist rippled on the surface of the lake, looking like a fairyland. Lakeside. A girl with a stunning appearance was drawing water by the lake. Her steps were steady, and her aura was not bad. Seeing the big white rabbit Zyro Wu return home, the girl's face carried a hint of anger. Zyro Wu, how many times have I told you? It's dangerous outside. You cannot go out again in the future, understand? Zyro Wu's mother. Hearing her mother's words, Zyro Wu nodded subconsciously, but suddenly she realized there seemed to be a person on her back. So your name is Zyro Wu, that's quite a nice name. Fuyi's voice came from behind Zyro Wu. Hearing this strange voice, 6 spirit rings, 2 yellow, 2 purple, 2 black, instantly rose behind the girl dressed in a pink dress. At this moment, her eyes were filled with indescribable tension, and then, looking at Zyro Wu, they carried a hint of frustration that her child hadn't lived up to expectations. Zyro Wu. The girl's voice was already very angry, and the big white rabbit Zyro Wu lowered her head, not daring to look at her. Just then, a pitch-black figure appeared behind them, and when the girl in the pink dress saw it, her eyes widened even further. The dark demonic evil god tiger, how did it get here? Where are Ming and Ming? However, before she could make a move, she saw the dark demonic evil god tiger acting like a big cat, lying on its side and acting spoiled, begging for pets. Bang! Awu tilde. However, Fuyi now had a clear understanding of this guy's bottom line. It had no bottom line and no integrity. As long as it came to his side, it would just lie there, begging for hugs and pets. With one kick directly to its black butt, this guy let out a howl, pretending in a lifelike manner that it was in pain. Fuyi stopped bothering with this stupid tiger and turned his gaze toward the girl standing on the bank of the Lake of Life. Is this Zyro Wu's mother? She doesn't seem very old, does she? Of course, Zyro Wu's mother hadn't been in human form for long. Calculating by her age after transformation, she was only 18 or 19 this year. Of course, in front of Zyro Wu, she would always be a mother figure, strict yet gentle. But since he had come to someone else's home for a visit, he should still have the proper etiquette. Hello, young miss, I have come here by reputation. I apologize for the disturbance and hope for your understanding. Chapter 18, Zyro Wu's mother, A Wu Yin's good sister. It was at this moment that the Titan giant ape and the Sky Azure ball python, that pair of brothers in misfortune, finally rushed back, shaking the earth with their movements. The two brothers truly hadn't expected that this girl, Zyro Wu, would actually bring a human with such terrifying strength, Fu Yi, home. You could have just taken him around the outskirts of the home. Was it really necessary to bring him straight home? Zyro Wu, what is going on here? Zyro Wu's mother will be referred to as A Wu. Names like Da Wu are too cliché. A Wu looked at her daughter with a face full of anger. Was a stranger someone who could just be brought home like that? Mom, about this matter, 10,000 words omitted here. Through the explanations of Zyro Wu, Da Ming, and Ming, A Wu finally understood the ins and outs of the matter. At this moment, she only felt a wave of helplessness. Bringing the other party home just like that, weren't they afraid that their whole family would become the other party's spirit ring and spirit bone? Rest assured, I am merely curious about what the core area of the Stardew Great Forest looks like. I have absolutely no interest in your spirit ring and spirit bone. He naturally knew what Zyro Wu's mother was thinking. After all, everyone wants 100,000-year spirit ring and 100,000-year spirit bone, but for Fu Yi, these held absolutely no attraction. He was too lazy to absorb spirit bones right now. Otherwise, he would have already performed fusion with that set of million-year dragon god spirit bones in the system Mal. However, he still needed to establish some prestige. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good to be looked down upon by this monkey and this loach. Thinking this, he directly condensed a stable barrier, and then, amidst everyone's confused gazes, released his dragon god martial soul and 990,000-year spirit rings. The magnificent 9-colored giant dragon, carrying an overwhelming pressure, enveloped the one human and 3 beasts. The 990,000-year level spirit rings behind him made people, oh no, beasts, feel fear in their hearts. Including A Wu, the other 3 beasts, Zyro Wu included, were so suppressed at this moment that they couldn't even lift their heads. This terrifying pressure only lasted for a second, but in their eyes, it felt as long as an entire century. Withdrawing his spirit and spirit rings, Fu Yi looked at A Wu, who was limp and collapsed on the ground, and the 3 beast kings, who were still shrouded in fear and prostrate on the ground. Sai, who let me have a compassionate heart. I just can't stand seeing beautiful women get hurt. A Wu's eyes were filled with terror. It wasn't just her. The rest, including Zyro Wu and the dark demonic evil god Tiger, all had weak legs and couldn't stand up at all. At this moment, the dark demonic evil god Tiger's eyes were filled with a longing for life and relief at its timely surrender. It was fortunate that it hadn't used the life and death arena against the monster in front of it at the time. Otherwise, with its physique, it wouldn't have been able to withstand what the other party could do. Fu Yi slowly walked to A Wu's side. At this moment, she had to rely on her trembling hands to barely sit up. When she saw Fu Yi come before her, the terror in her eyes deepened. The 3 beast kings, Ming, Da Ming, and Zyro Wu, were extremely nervous at this moment. They were afraid that Fu Yi would make a move against Mother. Russell. However, the truth of the matter is always unexpected. Fu Yi reached out and lifted A Wu, then carried her in his arms in a princess carry. I've already told you all, I'm just here to visit. I really don't need your spirit ring and spirit bone. Afterwards, he added in his heart, I just want to simply experience the happiness of Mr. Mengd. Looking at the wooden house not far away, Fu Yi said, That's where you live, right? At this moment, A Wu, the whole beast, no person, was stunned. She was 100,000-year spirit beast who hadn't yet entered her maturity period, and the other party actually wasn't killing her. At this moment, she didn't even dare to breathe, fearing that if she angered this human powerhouse in front of her, it would cause Zyro Wu and the others to die here with her. You, this little rabbit who has transformed, are quite interesting. I also know a little girl who transformed from a blue silver emperor. I wonder if you know her. This sentence from Fu Yi left Awu completely stunned. Transformed from a blue-silver Emperor, Yin also transformed. When did that happen? Transformed from a blue-silver Emperor? Are you talking about Yin? Listening to Zyro Wu's mother's words, Fu Yi thought to himself, as expected, these two families know each other. That's right, at the time I was recuperating near the blue-silver forest, and later I met her. However, she is different from you, she has already entered her maturity period. Fu Yi's tone was flat as he walked toward the wooden house while responding to Zyro Wu's mother's words, and this time it was Awu's turn to be surprised. Maturity period. That means Yin transformed even earlier than her. Click! The wooden door was pushed open by Fu Yi. He discovered that inside were furnished with some very simple wooden furniture and a clean, tidy bed. On the side of the house, there was a large nest piled up with golden straw, and some snow-white fluff still remained inside. It looked like this was where Zyro Wu usually slept. Although it was somewhat simple, it was fortunately very clean and tidy here. After placing Awu on the bed, Fu Yi seemed to notice that she still wanted to say something, so he simply grabbed a small wooden stool and sat down to the side. Yin, where is she now? How is she doing? It could be heard that Zyro Wu's mother seemed very worried about Yin's safety. When I finished recuperating and left, she said she wanted to go to the human world with me to take a look. Now she is living in my restaurant, so there is no need to worry about safety issues. Yin is definitely fine. Of course, except for the fact that she likes to moan and groan until late at night. Is that so? Upon hearing that Yin had already entered her maturity period and gone to wander in the human world, Awu felt a bit moved. However, thinking about her daughter who was still here, she ultimately dismissed the idea of entering human society after reaching the maturity period. But who exactly are you? Why do you have so many 100,000-year spirit rings, and what are you doing coming to our place? Although Awu knew that the man in front of her was very dangerous, she needed to know his identity. Young miss, before asking for someone else's name, you must first introduce yourself. This is the most basic respect for a guest. Fu Yi was not angry. After all, his strength was so great, and coming to someone's home without a word, it was only natural for the other party to be vigilant and nervous. Upon hearing Fu Yi's words, Awu, who understood some human etiquette, knew that she had indeed been rude just now. Who? Awu took a deep breath and slowly said, My name is Awu, the Wu from dancing. As you said, I am a transformed 100,000-year soft-bones rabbit. Awu, it's quite fitting. Honestly, Zyro Wu's mother now looks a bit like the grown-up Zyro Wu in the anime. Of course, there are definitely differences. For instance, her hair is not pure black but a light brown, and her temperament is more composed, not as lively as the Zyro Wu in the original work. My name is Fu Yi, the Fu from Master and Yi from Burning Brilliance, a human spirit master with a little bit of strength. However, after hearing what Fu Yi said, Awu did not believe it at all. A little bit of strength, she had just felt that terrifying aura. The other party had suppressed the 200,000-year spirit beasts, Da Ming and Ming, just by the aura he emitted. Fu Yi thought for a moment. His introduction was a bit imprecise, so he added another sentence. There is a spirit beast bloodline within my body. You could say that I am currently a kind of half-breed. Chapter 19. I also have spirit beast bloodline in my body. Spirit beast bloodline, half-breed. Awu listened, completely stunned. Fu Yi really wasn't lying. Ever since he fused with the dragon god martial soul and the complete dragon god bloodline that came with it, he couldn't be fully called a human anymore. His current situation was the same as Tang San's in the original work, a half-human, half-spirit beast hybrid. As for Tang San's son and daughter in the original work, they had at least 3/4 spirit beast bloodline in their bodies. Fu Yi felt that this was also one of the reasons why Tang Wutong could fuse with the auspicious beast Wang Kia during the Second Era, and why Tang Wulin could fuse with the Golden Dragon King energy during the Third Era. The Dragon God bloodline had changed his originally frail physique. Nowadays, lifting 200,000 or 300,000 kilograms was effortless for him. With this kind of physical fitness, let alone spirit beasts, Fu Yi felt that even among the gods in the god realm, no one could rival him in strength. One punch is nearly 200 or 300 tons. Ask yourself, are you scared? Friendly reminder, in the Third Era, Tang Wulin's punch in the late stage was nearly 150 tons. Of course, this is a matter of opinion. Believe it or not, there's no need to take it too seriously. As he said this, a 9-colored kai condensed in his hand. Feeling this aura, the hair on Awu's body stood up instantly. Her pupils were filled with fear. This is my bloodline power. Although it's not very strong, it's still quite useful. Fuyi stood up and walked to the window. Awu was still suppressed by this aura, frozen in place and unable to move. You little girl are truly interesting, but don't worry, I have no interest in your spirit rings or spirit bones. I only came here to relax, and taking that stupid tiger as a mount was just a matter of convenience. Although Awu was Zyro Wu's mother, she was currently still an 18 or 19-year-old young girl, with smooth, tender skin. Fuyi playfully pinched her cheek. All right, I had a lot of fun today. Next time, I'll bring that silly girl Yin along to play. Patting Awu's head, Fuyi felt a peculiar sensation in his heart. Of course, just like with Tang Yuehua, these things always had to be done step by step. His sudden visit today had indeed disturbed their normal lives. It was normal for others to be wary. As the saying goes, the first time is awkward, the second is familiar, and the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Never mind how many times it takes, there will eventually be a time when he succeeds. He wasn't some heinous villain, he was just a rogue with personal standards and basic integrity. Fuyi turned to leave. Just as he was about to step out the door, he looked back at Awu. Rabbit, you like eating carrots, right? With a wave of Fuyi's hand, a small mountain of century-old premium carrots appeared on his left. However, Awu didn't see this, as she was still sitting on the bed. Outside, the white rabbit Zyro Wu and the Titan giant ape were frozen in place. What is this, a mountain of carrots? Zyro Wu, wow, so many carrots, such a fragrant smell. Titan giant ape, why carrots, wouldn't bananas be better? Sky Azure Ball Python, I still prefer meat. By the time they looked away from the carrot mountain, Fuyi had already disappeared. As for the dark demonic evil god tiger, that little beast that had been dozing off was also dragged away by Fuyi, held by the scruff of its neck. After Awu calmed down and walked out the door, seeing the mountain of carrots in front of her, she, oh no, the whole beast, was stunned. Mom, what did you say to that brat? These are century-level carrots that are about to develop sentience. Zyro Wu's mouth watered with unearned tears. After all, this stuff had already been eaten to extinction by her and her mother in the Stardew Great Forest. Ouch, Mom, take it easy. Seeing her daughter's gluttonous look, Awu was furious. Ming, Da Ming, you two better explain everything that happened today to me, otherwise you'll be going hungry these next few days. Yes, Mother Wu. On the other side, Fuyi, who was about to reach the human town, stopped, looking at the dark demonic evil god tiger with disgust. Under Fuyi's gaze, the dark demonic evil god tiger's fur stood on end. Can you make your body smaller? It's hard for me to bring you back to where I live in your current state. Hearing Fuyi's words, the dark demonic evil god tiger understood immediately. In less than 2.5 seconds, it turned into a small black dog with 2 golden wing imprints on its back. It actually looked quite convincing. Good dog. Woof. Teachable. Fuyi felt that the current dark demonic evil god tiger had lost its previous ferocity. It seemed more like it had just given up. After we get back, you're responsible for watching the house, understand? Woof. Damn, this dog is getting into character pretty fast. By the time Fuyi got home, it was around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and Yin had just woken up. Seeing the small black dog in Fuyi's hands, she wanted to pet it, but when Fuyi said it was that 50,000-year level dark demonic evil god tiger. Yi, what do you think of this binding position? Not bad, but it needs improvement. Fuyi never thought that in his lifetime, he would be playing bondage games with his wife on a dog, the dark demonic evil god tiger. At this moment, the dark demonic evil god tiger was tied up in a way that made it feel life was meaningless, and this little vixen Yin was having a blast. In the chat between Yin and him, Fuyi learned that this dark demonic evil god tiger had once tried to devour her, but it failed because it couldn't catch her. However, upon learning this, Fuyi offered to teach Yin a very nice bondage technique. 3 minutes later. Tusk, it's got that vibe, even though it's a dog. You can still tell it's really seductive. Yi, you're so bad, it really is so seductive. Although the dark demonic evil god tiger was just a dog, this turtle shell binding method was really something else. He could actually see the word seductive on a dog. Yin buried her little head in Fuyi's arms, her cheeks flushed red. She would sneak a peek at the bound dark demonic evil god tiger from time to time, and then her cheeks would turn even redder. Dark demonic evil god tiger, no, what the hell are you two doing? I am a slave, but I have dignity. If you mess with me again, I will let you know that you picked on a soft target. Fu-yi, Yin. After a full meal, Fu-yi hugged Yin's slender waist, the heat in his eyes impossible to hide. But before that, he needed to get rid of the third wheel. Thump! The dark demonic evil god tiger was thrown off the top floor by Fu-yi like garbage. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio. Help me watch the storefront. If you leave more than 25 meters, you die. Chapter 20, Yu Zairogang. With a fierce tiger in his heart, he gently sniffs the blue-silver emperor. Fu-yi woke up feeling exceptionally comfortable every day now. Although he always tossed and turned with Yin until late at night, he could not help his boundless energy. Nowadays, he would be fine even without sleeping every day. For him, sleep had become just a habit. He could go without it, and just by closing his eyes for a short while, he would have enough energy to handle whatever came next. Gently sniffing the delicate fragrance of Yin in his arms, Fu-yi felt an itch in his heart. After changing his clothes, Fu-yi opened the system mal. Congratulations to the host for successfully purchasing the immortal herb. Yin and Yang creation grass ×1 possesses the effect of reversing the creation of heaven and earth. After consumption, there will no longer be any bottleneck, and the spirit will undergo a 100% benign mutation. Congratulations to the host for successfully purchasing the immortal herb, Demonic Nightmare Nether Flower ×1, an immortal herb exclusive to the dark demonic evil god tiger spirit. It can significantly enhance the power of the 6 major attributes, purify the evil god bloodline, and there will no longer be any bottleneck in the future. Scanning Juxiang Pavilion with his mental force, he discovered that the dark demonic evil god tiger, that little dog, was curled up in a shadow sleeping. You dog, come here, I have something for you to eat. Hard time to eat. Hearing Fu-yi's summons, the dark demonic evil god tiger lazily swayed its body and made its way to the rooftop suite where Fu-yi was. However, when it saw the demonic nightmare nether flower in Fu-yi's hand, a glimmer of brilliance flashed in its pitch-black eyes. This thing looks like it tastes really good. Eat it with your 50,000-year cultivation. You aren't even enough to run errands for me. The dark demonic evil god tiger possessed the evil god bloodline. Eating this would allow it to evolve once more. Awo tilde, thank you, master. Swallowing the immortal herb that Fu-yi tossed over in one gulp, a deep purple radiance instantly erupted from within its body. Seeing that the commotion didn't seem right, Fu-yi immediately cast a barrier and a visual screen around it. After all, he couldn't let the god realm know about this. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if they came down to the lower realm to deal with his dog. As for the yin and yang creation grass, it was naturally for Yin. Watching Yin still sleeping soundly, Fu-yi placed the immortal herb right beside her lips. Nom nom. Yin almost subconsciously ate the fragrant object in front of her. One must know that Yin was the transformed blue-silver emperor. Her absorption of immortal herbs was far easier than that of an ordinary person. My body feels hot. In her half-dreaming, half-waking state, the yin and yang creation grass had already begun to take effect. Time passed bit by bit, and a month slipped away quietly. It took Yin an entire day to perfectly absorb the immortal herb. In the end, her cultivation settled directly at the rank 70 spirit saint level. After absorbing the god-bestowed spirit ring Fu-yi gave her, her cultivation leaped to rank 73. Fu-yi was not idle either. During this time, he fused with a full set of million-year spirit bones of the dragon god. However, due to the system's rank lock, although his aura was stronger, it still did not exceed the boundary of a divinity. As for that stupid dog, the dark demonic evil god tiger, Fu-yi did not treat it poorly either. He took a few 100,000-year dark demonic evil god tiger spirit bones and gave them to it as chew toys to snack on. Now, it was a 150,000-year level spirit beast. Its true strength was equivalent to rank 98 peak super Douluo. After releasing its innate bloodline, its strength could even temporarily rise to the level of a rank 99 limit Douluo. It was now truly qualified to be a guard dog. During this month, besides going to the Moon Pavilion to flirt with that stinky sister Tang Yuehua, Fuyi also took Yin to stroll around the Stardew Great Forest a few times. Wu and Yin were indeed a pair of sisters who had known each other for a long time. The big white rabbit Zyro Wu always followed behind Fuyi, asking for carrots to eat. To this, Fuyi indicated that he had plenty of these. The system seemed to restock every 3 minutes, filling up directly each time. The tens of thousands of carrots he took out last time were all devoured by Zyro Wu and the Titan giant ape. Anyway, there were as many carrots as he wanted. After all, this stuff had no great use for Cultivate, and high-quality carrots just tasted a bit better. The future plot could not be disrupted. Otherwise, if Zyro Wu transformed early, the plot would collapse. During this time, Fuyi also returned to Spirit Hall to take a look, but he did not find that bastard Yu Zyrogang. In fact, he had camped out for several days without seeing any trace of him. For this reason, he even went to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect to check, but there was still no trace of him. Fuyi was completely puzzled by this situation. However, he didn't dwell on it. After all, his system Mal had a tracking talisman. As long as he imagined the person's appearance, he could track them. Let that scum Yu Zyrogang enjoy himself for a few more days. His good days were about to come to an end soon. Meanwhile, at Spirit Hall, in the underground interrogation room of the Supreme Pontiff Palace. Creak! The door was slowly pushed open, and Bibai Dong walked into the interrogation room. She came here as usual, and the 5 healing element spirit ancestors were already prepared. After a month, Yu Zyrogang's body was already battered and tattered. There were bruises all over, and every inch of his skin had been split open by iron whips. However, today she wanted to play something different. Bibi Dong, you poisonous woman, you will have a terrible death. Seeing Bibai Dong, Yu Zyrogang's dim eyes were filled with resentful fury, yet Bibai Dong turned a deaf ear to it. Yu Zyrogang, oh Yu Zyrogang, I will not let you die here so easily. Rest assured, I have already handled the matters regarding your sect. They will not come to ask about your affairs for the time being. A trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Bibai Dong's mouth, and then she beckoned to the people behind her. Subsequently, 6 sturdy, muscular men walked into the interrogation room. Holy maiden! After entering, the 6 men bowed their heads in salute. After scanning them indifferently, Bibai Dong turned her gaze to the 5 healing element spirit masters. You 5 don't need to come here anymore. I will still double the cultivate resources for you for the next 3 years. I believe you understand the logic behind this. Upon hearing Bibai Dong's words, a glimmer of brilliance flashed in the eyes of the 5 girls. We understand. We have never been here. MHM. Watching the sensible appearance of these 5, Bibai Dong nodded. Leave. If I discover that anyone among you leaks this matter, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Yes. After the 5 of them left, Bibai Dong slowly walked to a spot 3 meters in front of Yu Zyrogang. Yu Zyrogang, oh Yu Zyrogang, just enjoy yourself. For the next half year, you will spend your time with these 6. Yu Zyrogang, who was originally gnashing his teeth with eyes full of fury, was stunned for a moment after hearing Bibai Dong's words, and then his eyes were filled with terror as he looked at the 6 men at the door. He is the young clan chief of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. After half a year, each of you will receive 5,000 gold coins. During this period, all basic needs will be provided here. You and he are not allowed to leave this place. I do not want him to die, but I absolutely do not want him to live well. Do you understand? 5,000 gold coins, and there's money to be made. Upon hearing this price, the 6 men looked at each other, and then looked at Yu Zyrogang with very fiery gazes. Yes, your highness, holy maiden. As Bibai Dong left, a heart-wrenching scream immediately erupted from within the iron door. Arse you bunch of woo-woo-woo. Chapter 21, Capturing Tang San's Aunt, Future Tang San's Uncle. Moon Pavilion inside Tang Yuehua's office. Current Tang Yuehua favorability, 95%. Fuyi was holding her in his arms at this moment, and her flushed face indicated that her heart was not calm. Breathing softly against her ear, her delicate body trembled slightly because of this. Sister Yuehua, you smell so good. Fu Yi pressed his cheek against her exquisite face, and the warm touch made Tang Yuehua shiver as if she had been electrocuted. Whining, Tang Yuehua felt Fu Yi already pressed against her, and resignedly closed her eyes, which were like autumn water. Seeing his sister Yuehua looking so shy and ready to be plucked, he leaned forward and pushed her down onto the soft sofa. Feeling this, Yuehua opened her beautiful light brown eyes in a panic. Sister Yuehua, you are so beautiful. After speaking, Fu Yi kissed her directly. Tang Yuehua wanted to struggle for a moment, but she was pinned directly under Fu Yi. The other party's domineering kiss made her lose her composure for a moment. However, Fu Yi's hands and feet were not idle, making Tang Yuehua's cheeks look like a ripe red apple. Woo-woo-woo. Kai La. Fu Yi still did not let go. He knew that if he did not take the initiative, this layer of window paper would never be broken. Accompanied by a barrier being cast, no one knew exactly what would happen in this room. Until evening, Fu Yi could still see the stubbornness in Tang Yuehua's crimson cheeks. Baby Yuehua, what? Still unconvinced? Fu Yi looked at Tang Yuehua, who was lying limp under him, with great interest. HMPH, I am not convinced. Woo-woo, whying. Until the middle of the night, this girl was still stiff-lipped, even though she was limp all over and unable to move. Fu Yi was not a pedantic person. He took her into his arms and fell asleep. Congratulations to the host for successfully capturing Tang Yuehua. Favorability 100%, favorability locked. On the other side, Spirit Hall, Supreme Pontiff Palace, Interrogation Room. Yu Xiaorogang was still in the midst of deep water and scorching fire. Please, let me go, let me go. Yu Xiaorogang was in great pain at this moment. And here at Moon Pavilion, Tang Yuehua was not even a spirit master now. After doing it once with Fu Yi, she rested for a whole day before recovering. After waking up, she found that it was still dark outside, and Fu Yi was no longer by her side. Stinky man, you disappeared after taking my body. When you come back, Zhai Ga. The door was slowly pushed open, and Fu Yi walked in carrying nourishing soup. When you come back, what will you do, my sister Yuehua? Seeing Fu Yi, Yuehua felt a warmth in her heart, but she still wore a stubborn little expression. HMPH, I won't pay attention to you anymore. She turned her head away, looking like she needed him to coax her to be happy. Can you bear to? Fu Yi's words made Tang Yuehua's cheeks flush red. Bear to, she certainly couldn't. Recalling the scene of the two of them being inseparable last night, she felt chaotic. HMPH, smooth talker with no seriousness. Although she said that, she did not refuse the nourishing soup Fu Yi served. Gudu. After drinking a mouthful of soup, she only felt her body become warm and very comfortable. Drink more, later, eat this immortal herb to improve your physique. Don't force yourself next time when you can't handle it. Your little body can't withstand my love for you right now. Fu Yi said while feeding his sister Yuehua. HMPH, you don't even know how to slow down. I didn't get enough even after such a long time. When Tang Yuehua said this, her cheeks were already bright red, and Fu Yi sat directly beside her with the soup bowl. This startled Tang Yuehua. She didn't expect this little man Fu Yi to be so strong, and also so big. Because I like you, I believe you should have felt it too. Fu Yi fed Tang Yuehua another mouthful of soup. Felt what? Tang Yuehua was a bit confused. My fiery love. Tang Yuehua's cheeks turned red like an apple again. After 2.5 seconds of silence, she finally spoke. Ah, you pervert, you jerk. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, another half a year had passed. He had lived a fulfilling life in these 6 months. Yin had been sent by Fu Yi to the Stardew Great Forest to live with Awu, and that dog, the dark demonic evil god Tiger, had also been sent over to guard the gate with Da Ming and Ming. As for his small restaurant, he had sent a limit Douluo-level puppet to guard it. After all, it was his foundation. Tang Yuehua's spirit was the noble ring, which came with an innate noble domain. Fu Yi took a moonlight immortal herb from the mal and gave it to Tang Yuehua to consume. Her spirit successfully evolved into the moon ring, and she broke through to become a spirit grandmaster in one fell swoop. As for himself, in these 6 months, he either went to Yuehua's boudoir for a few days or stayed in the Star-Du Great Forest for a few days. His days were exceptionally comfortable. As for that guy Yu Xiaorogang, Fuyi had not found his shadow. However, when he relied on the positioning talisman given by the system, he discovered that the other party was actually imprisoned in the underground interrogation room near the Supreme Pontiff Palace. The scene inside was so beautiful that Fuyi couldn't bear to look directly at it. Coupled with the fact that he noticed his senior sister, Bibai Dong, looking towards the interrogation room every day with a resentful yet slightly satisfied gaze, he knew that all of this was done by his good senior sister, Bibai Dong. In this regard, Fuyi expressed that he was still too young. When it came to methods of punishing people, senior sister Bibai Dong was still more skilled. During this period, he did not appear in front of Bibai Dong, but he left a mark on her, so he could know her situation and could teleport to her side at any time. After all, his senior sister Dong had done this much for him. How could he be an ungrateful person? Because the obstacle of Yu Xiaorogang was gone, Fuyi didn't know if Kaian Zunji would still lay a hand on Bibai Dong, but one important point was that he wanted Kaian Zunji to leave behind offspring in 4 years. When the time came, Fuyi would directly cast a bewitching spell on Tang Hao, let him raid Kaian Zunji at night, and finish him off with one hammer. The ending would be the same as the original work. The Clear Sky sect would go into seclusion, and Kaian Zunji would die at the hands of Tang Hao. In the end, because of the bewitching spell, Tang Hao would be hunted by the Spirit Hall and flee to the countryside to give birth to a son Tang San, with a female version of Zhao Wuji. The plan is very solid, it can be implemented. You ask how Tang Hao's wife died, you will know when the time comes, I won't spoil it here. Chapter 22, The Energetic Girl Liu Erlong, applying for a job at Juxiang Pavilion. In the outer district of the Heaven Du Empire, a pretty girl with fiery red hair was rushing along in a hurry. Suddenly, a figure stepped out from a corner, and caught off guard, she crashed right into him. Manga version, red-haired girl Liu Erlong. Ouch! After the collision, the figure didn't budge an inch, but the little red-haired girl fell to the ground. Little girl, you should walk a bit slower. The figure turned around and extended his warm, fair palm toward the girl. That's right, this person was Fuyi. He hadn't expected that Liu Erlong at this stage was still just a 15-year-old girl. However, this just goes to show that the Yu Xiaorogang from the original story really knew how to play. As someone who had studied spirit for many years and called himself Grandmaster, he actually couldn't even recognize his own cousin. And in the late stage of the original story, he even staged some sort of romantic ethical blockbuster, ending up together with his own cousin. Regarding this, Fuyi remarked that it was quite a wild play, worthy of his study. However, this sort of thing couldn't be imitated just because one wanted to. After all, he was just an orphan. His parents and relatives had died quite thoroughly. Ouch, my head. The girl rubbed her little head, and when she looked up, she saw Fuyi's handsome and dashing face. So good-looking, being straightforward, she said this almost subconsciously. Which young girl doesn't dream of romance, even Liu Erlong, whose temper had always been fiery since she was young, was no exception. Seeing the other party extend his palm toward her, she also somewhat dizzily extended her own fair little hand. Rustle, rustle. Fuyi pulled her up from the ground with great ease. Little girl, walk slower, it would be terrible if a carriage suddenly appeared. 15-year-old Liu Erlong was only 1.6 meters tall, and Fuyi, at 1.85 meters, was completely looking down at her. After patting her little head, he prepared to leave. After all, they had only met by chance, and it certainly wouldn't be good for him to ask her name directly. I'm not a little girl. My name is Liu Erlong. I'm already 15 years old this year. I'm already an adult. Hearing Liu Erlong's voice from behind, Fuyi didn't turn around. Instead, he spoke while walking away. Hello there, little adult. Waving his hand behind him, Fuyi quickly disappeared from Liu Erlong's sight. Damn it, this guy. Seeing Fuyi's attitude, Liu Erlong was infuriated. But Juxiang Pavilion near the Imperial City was recently hiring employees, and she had heard from people there that working there could earn a lot of money. She thought she would go try her luck, maybe she could get hired. Thinking this way, she no longer bothered with the person who had just called her a child. Fu Yi sensed Liu Erlong's direction and looked somewhat surprised. According to his understanding, this little girl Liu Erlong lived in the border district, outside the Heaven Du Empire Imperial City. Why was she now heading toward the inner district? Anyway, he was idle. With Yin currently in the Stardew Great Forest and Yue Hua still teaching at the Moon Pavilion, he had become a person of leisure. Fu Yi changed direction and slowly followed in the footsteps of the little girl, Liu Erlong. However, as he walked, he calculated his plans for the future, as well as the point in time he had arrived at using the time teleportation card. One had to know that Tang Hao and Qian Zunji would face a calamity in 9 years. He needed to go over and handle it. After all, the birth of the child of luck was still very important. If by any chance, Tang Hao didn't want a child and just sprayed it on the wall, that would be hilarious. After that was the timeline for him to join the plot. He needed to find the perfect timing to insert himself, as well as the perfect location. Thinking this, Fu Yi followed the little girl Liu Erlong to his house. Inner District, Juxiang Pavilion. As soon as Liu Erlong walked into Juxiang Pavilion, the waiters inside bowed to welcome her, their attitude incredibly good. "Hello, little sister, are you here to dine alone?" Hearing the waiter's words, Liu Erlong shook her head. "Big sister, are you still hiring here? I want to apply for a job." Liu Erlong blinked her sparkling big eyes, looking at the greeter at the door with a face full of hope. "Little sister, yes you can, please come with me." The greeter took Liu Erlong into Juxiang Pavilion. In fact, the waiter had wanted to refuse her just moments ago, but she had heard Fu Yi's telepathic message. "It's fine, let this little girl go in and try." One had to know that the wages at Juxiang Pavilion were shockingly high. After all, this was near the Imperial City, and the flow of people was ridiculously high. Juxiang Pavilion was now a high-end place in the eyes of commoners, and a dining venue in the eyes of nobles. But if nobles wanted to host a meal, this place was not lacking in dignity at all. It could be said that for commoners to eat here, it was no more than spending 2 to 3 times what they usually spent on a meal. After all, the ingredients were good, the environment was good, and the taste was excellent. It was also a good place for ordinary commoners to treat friends to a meal on weekdays. "Boss." Seeing Fu Yi walk through the main door, the waiter standing on the other side hurriedly bowed. "It's fine, go about your business, don't worry about me." After speaking, Fu Yi walked straight in, but as soon as he entered, he saw an old acquaintance he hadn't seen for a long time. "I haven't seen you come here to eat for over half a year, how have you been lately?" Upon hearing Fu Yi's voice, the man stopped his conversation with the young man sitting in front of him, turned around, and bowed to Fu Yi. "Your Excellency Fu Yi." What is this about, Your Excellency?" "Brother Chenzin, what is the meaning of this? Why do you call me Your Excellency?" Fu Yi sat directly opposite him, and beside him sat a plump and handsome young man. "Thanks to your blessing, Your Excellency, after the epiphany half a year ago, my stagnant cultivation finally began to be stirred. It wasn't until today that I achieved my breakthrough. I came here naturally to thank Your Excellency." Chenzin reached a breakthrough to title Douluo. That's 5 or 6 years faster than the original story. "Sit down, since you've come to my Juxiang Pavilion, just enjoy the meal. I'm only 18 this year, that Your Excellency makes me sound old." Fu Yi said this while waving to call Zyro Lizzie. "Boss, you're here, what would you like to eat today? I'll go tell the kitchen to make it right now." Seeing Fu Yi arrive, Zyro Lizzie treated him even better than his own father. After all, having worked here for 3 or 4 years, not only had it allowed him, a mere spirit grandmaster, to earn enough money to buy a house, but he had also married a beautiful wife. He held absolute respect for Fu Yi. "Help me give these ingredients to the kitchen. Let them improvise, just make it fast." Fu Yi waved his hand, and things like 1,000-year earth dragon tendons and 1,000-year earth bear paws were all handed over to Zyro Lizzie. "All right, boss, please wait, the dishes will be here soon." As Zyro Lizzie left, Fu Yi looked back at the scholarly young man sitting beside him. "What should I call this brother?" Chapter 23, The Old Fox Ning Fengzhai. "Hello, my name is Ning Fengzhai, the young sect master of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Might I ask who Your Excellency is?" So it was that old fox Ning Fengzhai. It seems he was just trying to recruit Sword Douluo. However, the old man was only a year or two away from kicking the bucket. After all, due to his poor health, he only had one son, Ning Fengzhai, but fortunately, Ning Fengzhai was capable. Ning Fengzhai was about the same age as Fu Yi, only 3 years older, yet he was already a bona fide high-level spirit king. Fu Yi felt that if not for the restriction preventing members of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School from cultivating to Spirit Douluo, Ning Fengzhai would be the most dazzling prodigy of this era. Hello, my name is Fu Yi, and I am the owner of this Juxiang Pavilion. Regarding Ning Fengzhai, Fu Yi gave him a high evaluation for his talent, but regarding his character, Fu Yi had no comment. Who involved in business wars doesn't have a dirty heart, but Fu Yi only ran an ordinary little restaurant, so he hadn't clashed with this fox, Ning Fengzhai, in terms of making money. After shaking hands with Ning Fengzhai in a friendly manner, Fu Yi turned his gaze to Chen Xin. Brother Chen Xin, how about we make a deal? In the end, he still intended to poach the future pillar of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Of course, Fu Yi would not truly restrict his personal freedom. Your Excellency Fu Yi, please feel free to speak. If you dare call me Your Excellency again, don't blame me for beating you up. Say it properly once more. Ahem, Brother Fu Yi, please feel free to speak. Wouldn't it have been better if you were like this earlier? I'm so young, why call me Your Excellency? Regarding how Chen Xin addressed him, Fu Yi finally resolved the matter through friendly means. I will find you the most suitable 9th spirit ring, but you must help me look after the shop for the next 50 years. How about it? Help look after the shop for the next 50 years, just to have him find the most suitable 9th spirit ring for himself. If someone else had said this to him, he absolutely would not have believed it, but coming from Fu Yi, he expressed that he believed it very much. Ning Fengzhai, who was sitting to the side, also became interested, finding the most suitable 9th spirit ring for a titled Douluo. How difficult such a thing was, yet the other party spoke of it so casually. Before coming here, he had already inquired and found that there was a 90,000-year level earth demon dragon located in a mountain range in the northwest region. This was also one of the bargaining chips he brought to recruit Chen Xin this time. There is no need for a 9th spirit ring, as long as Brother Fu Yi speaks, Chen Xin will naturally guard this place. Smart, he narrowly avoided a beating. Forget it, with your physique, it is very difficult to find the most suitable spirit ring. Whether in the forest or in the ocean. In your heart, you might be thinking of finding a spirit beast with strong attack power and a high spirit ring age to absorb, but such blind absorption will only waste your talent. Regarding Sword Douluo, Fu Yi felt that his ending was indeed somewhat regrettable. A generation of Super Douluo died on the eve of victory in the war. But spirit masters have always absorbed spirit rings this way. It is already difficult to find a spirit ring that is truly suitable for oneself, let alone a 9th spirit ring with such a high age. Ning Fengzhai could finally no longer sit still. After all, Fu Yi said he could help Sword Douluo obtain a perfect 9th spirit ring, which meant that the other party's strength was likely even more formidable than Sword Douluo's. Coupled with the fact that Sword Douluo had previously addressed Fu Yi as Your Excellency, his strength was definitely at the titled Douluo level. But the other party also said he was only 18 years old. Does an 18-year-old titled Douluo really exist in this world? Fu Yi did not say much more. Anyway, he had plenty of God-bestowed spirit rings. It didn't matter much to take 1 or 2 out. At the very least, he would have someone to help him look after the shop. It would be a waste not to take it. After all, although he had a limit Douluo puppet, this thing only executed orders and couldn't even speak. It was fine for fighting, but for looking after the shop, it looked a bit too stiff. Fu Yi looked at Ning Fengzhai, a smile appearing on his face. Call that bone of yours out to eat something. Aren't you tired of hiding all the time? Upon hearing Fu Yi's words, Ning Fengzhai's pupils dilated sharply. However, the next moment, Fu Yi directly reached out, tore a rift in space, and pulled out a young man dressed in grey-black clothing. It could be seen that he was frightened by this move of Fu Yi's. Zyro Lei, is there still a private room available? There are a few too many people now. Hearing Fu Yi's words, Zyro Li led them directly to the 3rd floor. After all, the private rooms on the 2nd floor were already occupied by people enjoying wine and conversation, and there was still an empty private room on the 3rd floor. While walking to the 3rd floor, Fu Yi saw Liu Erlong, who had just joined as a waitress. she had already changed into the Juxiang Pavilion uniform. Seeing Fu Yi, her eyes also widened. She never expected to encounter Fu Yi in such a situation. "We meet again, little sir." A smile appeared at the corner of Fu Yi's mouth. After all, he also hadn't expected that Liu Erlong would actually think of coming to his shop to apply for a job. However, before Liu Erlong could speak, Fu Yi, Ning Fengzhai, and Chen Xin walked into the private room. Gu Rong was thrown directly onto a seat, and Ning Fengzhai's expression was now somewhat unnatural. The calmness and confidence he had at the beginning were gone. Upon seeing Gu Rong, Chen Xin was first surprised, and then curious, as he and Gu Rong were acquaintances. Gu Rong sat slumped in the chair, trembling all over. Fu Yi possessed the dragon god bloodline, and his suppression power over dragon-type spirits was not just a little bit strong. "Brother Fu Yi, I wonder what kind of spirit beast you are talking about that can help Chen Xin obtain his 9th spirit ring." Ning Fengzhai finally calmed down. One had to know that even Gu Rong, an 89th level spirit Douluo, had been easily defeated by Fu Yi, so worrying was useless. It was better to just ask the other party directly. Upon hearing Ning Fengzhai's words, Fu Yi turned his gilded eyes toward him. "As far as I am concerned, there is no need to hunt spirit beasts. There are 2 ways to obtain spirit rings in this world. Hunting spirit beasts is merely one of the ways to obtain them." Fu Yi knew that those who had not come into contact with a god position did not know about god-bestowed spirit rings. Isn't the cultivation of spirit masters about advancing and obtaining spirit abilities by absorbing the spirit rings of spirit beasts? Ning Fengzhai was also confused. After all, he had read extensively for over a dozen years and had never heard of another method for obtaining spirit rings. It was only now that Fu Yi began to explain to Ning Fengzhai. "There is something called a god-bestowed spirit ring. Only those who have come into contact with the legacy of the gods will have the opportunity to touch such things. Generally speaking, this kind of spirit ring is the most suitable for humans. It will shape spirit abilities based on what the spirit master currently lacks, and the god-bestowed spirit ring will also condense a corresponding spirit ring age based on the human body's limit of endurance. As long as the physique and willpower are sufficient, even upgrading it to a 100,000-year spirit ring is not impossible. Forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to Infinite Novel Audio." Chapter 24, Gifting a God-Bestowed Spirit Ring to Chen Xin. A God-bestowed spirit ring. A God-bestowed spirit ring that only those who inherit a god position can come into contact with. As Fu Yi's voice fell, the breathing of the few people present, including Gu Rong, quickened slightly. Gods, these have not appeared on the Douluo Continent for thousands of years. 15,000 years ago, the sea god Poseidon fought for over 1,000 years, completely conquering the ocean, and successfully ascended to become the sea god by relying on the power of faith. 10,000 years ago, a kind-hearted girl holding a holy sword appeared. With her own strength, she wiped out the evil and disease in the world and destroyed all the evil soul master organizations at that time. She founded the Spirit Hall, which now has the main goal of exterminating evil soul masters. Relying on the power of faith of humanity, she broke through the limit of level 99 in one go, reaching level 100 spirit power and becoming a god. Since then, it has been rumored on the continent that there are 2 types of divine rank spirits, which can also be called god-bestowed spirits. One is the sea god, and the other is the seraphim. However, after the contemporary angel god's ascension, the continent has not seen a single god in the subsequent 10,000 years, and it remains so even now. So much so that they have gradually forgotten the history regarding gods. Could this divine object be Brother Fu Yi? Ning Fengzhai's breathing became even heavier. One must know that anything labeled with God would never be simple. I've traversed a few ruins, and I still happen to have some of these on hand. As he said this, Fu Yi took out a blood-red sphere. This was a god-bestowed spirit ring containing the divine force of the Asura god. Of course, this was a 100% imitation product sold in the system, and even the Asura god in the heavens could not sense it. Fu Yi was not stingy, and directly placed the blood-colored sphere containing the god-bestowed spirit ring on the table. At this moment, Ning Fengzhai directly took out his 7-treasure glazed tile pagoda and began to appraise it. Looking at the small pagoda emitting golden light there, Fu Yi felt that this spirit was really good. At the very least, it was truly useful for appraising treasures. Is this a god-bestowed spirit ring? Enning Fengzhai, Gu Rong, and Chen Xin were all looking at the blood-colored sphere on the table with great curiosity. Yes, under normal circumstances, this sphere will not be damaged. Only when absorbing the spirit ring can the restriction within be opened. Of course, whether it is a spirit grandmaster or a titled Douluo, both can absorb this spirit ring. However, this spirit ring has a low lower limit, but a very high upper limit. As long as your physique meets the requirements, you can even increase the age of this spirit ring to 990,000 years during absorption. As Fu Yi's voice fell, the few people present fell silent again, up to 990,000 years. All right, this god-bestowed spirit ring is not exactly a very precious item. Brother Chen Xin, just take it. Chen Xin specialized in the sword Dao and the Dao of slaughter. This god-bestowed spirit ring containing the divine force of the Asura god was the most suitable for him. Brother Fu Yi, this. Chen Xin still wanted to decline, but Fu Yi directly took the god-bestowed spirit ring and tossed it to him. If I tell you to take it, then take it. How many 50 years are there in a lifetime? A single god-bestowed spirit ring can get you to watch my shop for 50 years. The one who is actually losing out is you. He discovered that people on the Douluo Continent had no concept of time. 50 years, on Blue Star, that could very well be a normal person's entire life. Shakespeare said it very well. Life is short, enjoy it while you can. Life is only a few short decades. You bring nothing when you are born and take nothing when you die. Whatever past life or next life, only the happiness of this life is the most important. Of course, I won't interfere in your own business. I give you this spirit ring, you just need to help me watch the shop, and I couldn't be bothered to manage anything else about you. Enning Fengzhai wanting to win over Chen Xin, and Chen Xin helping him watch the shop did not conflict. As for Ning Fengzhai wanting the 7 treasure glazed tile school to become the #1 sect on the continent, sorry, that is simply impossible. A sect of the support system cannot become the #1 on the continent. Never mind that the Clear Sky sect wouldn't agree, even the Spirit Hall wouldn't sit idly by. In the end, it would only increase Chen Xin's combat power by 20 or 30%. It wouldn't have much other impact. After all, the general trend cannot be changed, but small trends can. With Chen Xin helping to watch over things, at least his restaurant wouldn't turn into ruins after he transmigrated to the future. After hearing these words from Fu Yi, a glimmer of light flashed directly in Ning Fengzhai's eyes. This kid really knows how to play the game. Boss, the dishes you wanted processed are here. Zyro Lizzie brought 2 waiters over in a rush and served the dishes. Humtilda the fragrant bear paw, the soft and glutinous earth dragon tendon, and various other 1000-year level ingredients. It wasn't that Fu Yi didn't want to eat 10,000-year level ingredients, it was just that they were too difficult to process, and Fu Yi found it troublesome. Among the waiters standing behind Zyro Lizzie was Liu Erlong, who had just joined the Juxiang Pavilion family. At this moment she lowered her head, not daring to look at Fu Yi. Just put them all on the table. After saying this, Fu Yi turned his gaze to Liu Erlong, who was standing behind Zyro Lizzie. Little adult, what a coincidence, we meet again. Fu Yi looked teasingly at Liu Erlong, who appeared as a young girl. At this time, Ning Fengzhai, Chen Xin, and the others also cast their gazes toward Liu Erlong, who was dressed in the Juxiang Pavilion waiter uniform. What a coincidence. It was clear that the young Liu Erlong had thin skin. At this moment, she was stumbling a bit as she spoke. Ahem, little Liu, this is our Juxiang Pavilion's boss, Fu Yi. The newcomer Liu Erlong was ignorant of the situation, but could he, Zyro Lizzie, be ignorant? It was clear at a glance that she and the boss had met before, and it was very likely that she didn't know Fu Yi's name or identity. As a veteran waiter, he needed to take this opportunity to properly introduce his boss. You are the boss here, you. But before she could finish, Fu Yi waved his hand directly at Zyro Lizzie. Just leave her here as a waiter to serve tea and pour water. You all go out first. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. After the other 2 waiters left, Ning Fengzhai also looked at the other party with interest. Since she could recognize Fu Yi, her identity would definitely not be simple. However, Ning Fengzhai guessed wrong this time. The 2 had really only met by accident. Little adult, the people sitting here today are all big shots. Oh, perform well, and I, as the boss, will give you a raise later. Before eating, Fuyi didn't forget to tease the little girl, Liu Erlong. I got it. For the sake of money, the little girl Liu Erlong eventually compromised. She had started to support herself since she started school at the age of 6. However, after her strength reached the spirit ancestor level, the spirit hall stopped issuing the monthly subsidy, so her money was simply not enough for her to live on. Fuyi casually took out 50 jars of 1,000-year spirit wine. He felt that this old fox, Ning Fengzhai, should be able to drink it. Of course, whether he could handle it depended on his own good fortune. After smelling the refreshing wine aroma, a gleam appeared in Gu Rong's eyes, and Ning Fengzhai was no exception. Only Chen Xin was still normal, after all. He had drunk quite a bit of this wine before. No spirit power, just a drinking contest. Whoever falls first has to bark like a dog twice. Do you dare? Chen Xin, come, today I will definitely compete with you to see who is better. Gu Rong, really, then I won't be polite. Ning Fengzhai, sigh, the fine wine and food are ready. How could I have any reason to avoid this? The food on this table was all 1,000-year level ingredients, plus a plate of red jade shrimp that even Ning Fengzhai had never eaten before. The aroma of the ingredients had long since hooked the gluttons in the stomachs of the 4 people present. Of course, the little girl Liu Erlong was no exception. Chapter 25, Liu Erlong moves into Juxiang Pavilion. Half an hour passed. Woof woof, I can't do it anymore. I'm not in good form today, I can't hold my liquor. Let's fight another day. Thump. Sure enough, Ning Fengzhai was the first to fall. He had only drunk 6 jars of wine before becoming a lightweight. Meanwhile, Liu Erlong had learned from the conversation between Fuyi and the others just now that the person barking like a dog here was actually Ning Fengzhai, the strongest genius of the 7 treasure glazed tile school. Her job was actually very simple, pouring tea and urging the kitchen to serve dishes. However, since Fuyi and his group were drinking directly from the jars and all the dishes had already been served, she was just standing there to watch the show. Look at you all, this young sect master Ning is just weak. Fuyi looked at Ning Fengzhai, who was passed out on the table, and mocked him right to his face. Oh, so you're saying you're very tough, huh? I'm super tough, okay, throw this guy aside, let's continue. In the end, Gu Rong very considerately placed him on the sofa nearby, then returned to fight another 300 rounds. An hour passed. Thump. Gu Rong finally got drunk and fell over, and Chen Xin spoke up to mock him at this moment. You old bag of bones aren't any good either, ahahaha, just weak. However, in the next second, he only felt the scene before his eyes gradually go black, and finally. Thump. In the end, Fuyi crushed the 3 people present with absolute strength. At this moment, he was the only one who was still somewhat sober. 3 lightweights can't even handle their liquor. Looking at the remaining dishes, Fuyi took a clean plate, filled it with some food, and looked back at Liu Erlong, who was still standing in the corner snickering. Little girl, eat something, it'll be a waste if you don't. Fuyi placed a small plate of food on the coffee table behind him. He used to abhor waste, and now he tried his best not to waste anything. He had thought the 3 of them could eat a lot, but it turned out they only drank, and more than half the food remained. As for me. Smelling the rich aroma, Liu Erlong had long been craving it, but the rules here stated that one could not touch the guests' leftovers. Even if it hadn't been touched, it had to be thrown into the trash can for disposal. It wasn't that Fuyi was stingy or anything for not giving some to Liu Erlong first. After all, status mattered here. The other party was currently just a newly arrived little waitress. If she ate before the guests did, what would that look like? Furthermore, everything he served to Liu Erlong was food they hadn't touched, so there was no issue of it being dirty or unclean. Eat up, you've been snickering for so long, you must be tired. Fuyi slowly stood up and walked toward the 3 drunkards, Ning Fengzhai and the others. No, I wasn't snickering. Liu Erlong covered her slightly flushed cheeks, which were red from laughing, and retorted directly. But Fuyi just nodded and then said, Our Juxiang Pavilion will be open until nearly 10 o'clock at night. You live in the outer city. It's not safe for a girl to travel at night. There is an empty room on the top floor. If you're willing, you can stay there at night. Ahem, these were all Fuyi's sincere thoughts. It wasn't that he was a pervert who could lay a hand on an underage girl. It was mainly because it was somewhat dangerous and troublesome for a girl to commute between the outer city and the imperial city for work. I'll take these 3 drunkards to the guest rooms on the 6th floor first. Once you've made up your mind, just go straight to the top floor. Fu Yi dragged Ning Fengzhai and Gu Rong with his left hand and Chen Xin with his right, walking upstairs one step at a time, leaving only the little girl, Liu Erlong, stunned in the room. After finishing this drinking session, it was already close to dusk. Fu Yi had drunk quite a bit, so after taking a sobering shower, he returned to his room, lay on the bed and started to doze off. He hadn't drunk alcohol for too long, which made his tolerance seem a bit weak. Don't know how long it had been when his door was knocked. Knock, 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 knock. Hearing someone knocking on the door, Fu Yi subconsciously opened his eyes. Looking at the position of the moon, he initially judged that it should be around 9:30 p.m., and their Juxiang pavilion should be about time to close. Who would come to disturb his beauty sleep at this time? Coming's coming. Fu Yi got up with some difficulty. Because he had taken a shower, he was only wearing his black pajamas. But well, he was a man. Exposing his chest wasn't against the law, so he didn't really care. Creak! Fu Yi pushed open the door, and standing behind it was the red-haired girl, Liu Erlong. What are you doing knocking on my door in the middle of the night, little girl? Fu Yi was a bit helpless. If she wanted to stay, she could just stay. The key to that room was even left in the lock outside. Boss Fu Yi, I want to. Gulp. Fu Yi's perfect upper body was now directly displayed in front of Liu Erlong. This was the first time she had ever seen a man's abs like this. All right, reel in your gaze, I'll take you over there. This little girl Liu Erlong was, to some extent, being disrespectful to him. Had she never seen such a perfect physique, staring straight at his body and gulping, see? Couldn't a girl be a bit more reserved? And so, with Liu Erlong in a daze, Fu Yi grabbed her by the back of her clothes, lifting her up like a little chick. Then, amidst her look of utter disbelief, he opened the door and tossed her onto the bed in that room, along with the key. Clatter! The door closed, and Fu Yi yawned as he went back to continue his sleep. And his system immediately chimed with a notification. Liu Erlong favorability, 55%. Is favorability increasing this fast? But after thinking about it, it felt normal. After all, in the original work, this little girl Liu Erlong was a hopeless romantic. Even knowing that Yu Xiaogang was her cousin, she still waited for him for over a decade. So sleepy, going back to sleep. On the other side, in the interrogation room of the Supreme Pontiff Palace, Spirit Hall. At this moment, Yu Xiaogang was tied to an iron bed with a face full of despair. After half a year, he still hadn't yielded. Although he lived in dire straits every day, he firmly believed that where there is a will, there is a way. He firmly believed his old man would come to rescue him. You few, hurry up and clean this place up, and put clothes on this traitor to the Spirit Hall. The Holy Maiden will be coming to inspect later. Upon hearing the guard's words, the 6 of them immediately stopped hesitating. Their movements were fast, and in less than a quarter of an hour, they had cleaned the entire interrogation room until it was spotless. After confirming there was not a trace of strange odor, and that the room was absolutely tidy, the guard went back to report. Not long after, Bibai Dong arrived here. Looking at Yu Xiaogang, who was still tied to the iron frame, she was surprised to find that this beast had actually gained a little weight. Yu Xiaogang, oh Yu Xiaogang, I didn't expect you to still be alive. Do you want to talk about how you feel after your experiences over the past half year? Although Bibai Dong was smiling at this moment, her eyes were gazing at Yu Xiaogang like a venomous snake. Devils, you are a devil, Bibai Dong, you will pay the price for everything you've done. After not seeing each other for half a year, Yu Xiaogang's sharp tongue remained the same. You say I'm a devil, heh, so be it, but what you did was far more excessive than me. You tortured the person I cherished for so long, and in the end, you even killed him. For this, I will definitely make you know what it means to wish you were dead. As she said this, a recording crystal suddenly appeared in Bibai Dong's hand. Yu Xiaogang, oh Yu Xiaogang, you wouldn't want your experiences over the past half year to be spread across the entire continent by our Spirit Hall, would you? Bibi Dong's smile at this moment was like a venomous snake or scorpion in Yu Xiaogang's eyes. No, you can't do this, you can't. However, as his words fell, a mountain-like pile of recording crystals appeared behind Bibaidong.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to Infinite Novel Audio, and don't forget to check out AI Otaku Studio for more amazing content. See you in the next adventure.